broadcast is brought to you by Logitech G, Motorsport Australia, Playseat, The Gamesman, OG Gear, SimSpeed TV, Speed Cafe, and the Australian Sim Racing Group.
The Racing Series is a new milestone in Logitech G.
All the great old wheels, the G29, the G920, the G923, they all have their own unique way of connecting to each other, but there's no room for expansion with those products.
So the question arose was, what if we were to give the opportunity for the racer to switch out from a drifting wheel to a GT rim?
With the wheel hubs that we've created, that's got a very specific button set, but you can replace any of the steering wheels.
And the real lovely aspect to this was we could give the user, driver and the racer the opportunity to experience different genres of race.
That allows drivers to craft high quality, customized setups that resonate with your individual racing style.
When we start with the design, we always start sketching. Very often, once we've got sketches, we start discussing with engineering.
We had 3 rounds of engineering testing or user testing where we invited in users from sim racing, and every single round of feedback we refine, the product based on what they tell us.
In this sim racing lab, again, we're going to use data to really analyze what a driver needs. We've used everything from eye tracking to the inputs from the pedals, the inputs from the, let's just say, input devices, the wheel and the pedals, the shifter. We're taking that and we're compiling it so that we can build different products based on those individuals' needs for all consumers and all drivers.
I don't know of anyone else in the industry that's actually doing this kind of research into their products to see how their products are affecting performance of their users.
We've built the product to make sure that it's as reliable as possible.
So the innovations in engineering that I'd say we're most proud of is the sequential handbrake and shifter toolless changeover. This is now a patented system, so it's really easy for the user to just switch between modes.
If you give people the tools to do what they want, they will.
They will just go off and have fun.
Weekend in, weekend out, Motorsport Australia officials are making waves. From waving flags, waving cars through pit lane, or responding to a wave for help. Wave hello to new lifelong friends. Who knows, you might just make waves around the world. Ride the first wave. Search Motorsport Australia officials today.
We are gaming fanatics. Our goal has never been to just play games. We think it's much better to feel like you're actually in the game. This feeling is what drives us as we create world-class gaming chairs. Our one aim, give you a brand new gaming experience. Help you move in perfect sync with everything on screen. Make sure you're having a ton of fun. It took us decades to achieve this, and we're still not satisfied. Every day, we wake up to get better. We'll never stop designing the very best to help you be your best. When it's all said and done, our job's only done if you're in full flow and focused on your victory. May you win, and win big.
Hi, I'm Brendan Leach, driver of the number 7 Audi R8 or MPC Audi Custom Racing. First impressions of OG gear on the sim, fantastic. It feels really nice in your hands and doesn't gather up under your fingers. The sock, very breathable for me. I get sweaty feet when I'm on simulator. I know that's not the nicest thing to say. It has just the right amount of grip because your feet do just naturally move around on the pedals a little bit, and I like the way that they give you that freedom but also give you that stability that you need.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Hello and welcome back. A month ago, we went racing to decide ourselves a 2024 Bathurst 1000 winner. We also decided our first ever True Force Endurance Cup champions, and big congratulations to Richie Senaway and Luke Rosella, who, a little bit out of left field, but given they won, that Rosella was the champion of the 2023 Sandown 500, maybe that's the result we should have been expecting a little bit more. Tonight, though, the trials and tribulations will continue. This time, it is a concrete canyon, and to call all the action, I've got Sandman alongside of me, and Sandman, this track is one of a few that's featured on both of the calendars tonight. Oh boy,
Yep.
Tonight I think it's going to matter a lot more.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, it is very much the concrete canyon, isn't it? I guess up until we get the Adelaide street circuit scanned, I guess this is kind of our version of Adelaide, isn't it? You know, there's so many bumps, there's different track surfaces they need to think about, and they've definitely got themselves work cut out for them, because this place, if you don't respect it, it will bite you big time.
Yeah, actually, I was talking to a really, really good a Canadian commentating buddy of mine, and he was licking his lips. He was keen for Adelaide. So it's not just the Aussies that get behind it, it's the international drivers as well. Well, this is shots from the circuit. What is it about this place? What is it about the streets of Detroit, Belle? It's bumpy. It's got a staircase section to it. It's got a lot of little 90-degree handles. But the big thing about this place I think is really, really interesting. Have a look at those curbs on the right-hand side of that screen. There's curbing around this track just about everywhere. You got to have a car that sort of rides them okay, averagely, you know, but you've got to be able to manipulate those bumps. You got to have a car that turns, points, and shoots quite well as well.
Yeah, it's almost set up for our Aussie tin tops, isn't it, really? You know, we love our cars bouncing up over curbs, and like I said, they've got their work cut out for them, because you can climb up over those curbs, the car can give you a little bit of attitude, and the surface changes between tarmac and concrete as well.
Well, where is the circuit located? Of course, Detroit Belle. It is located in Motor City. You come down on here, and we're on an island, actually, in the middle of the river. And that gives us this phenomenal racing track, who has sadly also seen its final days in terms of real-world racing action. It is now reserved to a little bit of racing legacy. And tonight, the Supercars drivers will attempt to tame it in anger. Looking at that start-finish line, up at the top left-hand corner of your screen, down through 1 and 2, flowing 90-degree corners. There's a little bit of a rise as you come over the crest at turn 2. Long straightaway, best braking and overtaking opportunity down at turn 3. Then it's the 90-degree right and left-handers. This section will challenge the drivers. It's narrow, it's tricky. You can go too wide, but it means that both drivers through this section. Down through 6, run onto the back straightaway, have to carry speed. It's not completely straight, down through 7, slowest section of the track, 7, 8, 9, and then the slowest corner at 11. 12 and 13 are just little kinks that, you know, single file groups. There's not really going to be an overtaking opportunity that goes on through here, Sandman, but she's got a...
There's a little bit of everything there, really, isn't there, Scott? Because, you know, you look at that track map, and I was trying to think about, you know, where are some of the spots on that racetrack where these drivers need to be careful. Pretty much all of it. You know, you can think about so many different parts, you know, where you come out of for turn number 2 and then you get yourself ready for turn number 3. Those bumps can unsettle the car. And like you said, when you go up through 7, 8, 9, 10, that's bumpy, and that's, you know, there's no room. It's almost single file through there. So if there's a little bit of side-by-side action, that can really mix things up.
It certainly can. That's what it looks like on paper. What does it look like when we get out there and get down and amongst it? And what are some of the thoughts that are really going through the drivers' heads at this stage? I know you are loving this little thing that you previewed all the way back at Bathurst, but guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Sandman's G-Hub. It is back, and it's bigger than ever. He's got a lot more analysis. What have you got for us in the G-Hub this time, Sandman?
Well, something that the teams are going to be mindful of, and that sort of caught us a little bit by surprise too, is the race distance. Check that out, 73 laps around this joint. So a little bit of different strategies to play out. And of course, this is all, I guess, in a perfect scenario without the I guess, the underdog of a safety car or something like that. So couple of different ways you want to go about it. Obviously, it's about having something in the end, but 73 laps, these teams and drivers have really got their work cut out for them. You know, we had a look at the track map and we can see just how treacherous some of these corners can be. And it's really going to be interesting to see how, I guess, cautiously aggressive that they're going to have to be. There's some drivers that have obviously got their year played out for them at the moment, and they probably can't do much in the points, but there's still a little bit of a championship battle as we check out the points in our series. Dylan Rudd, obviously our championship leader, he's looking like the odds-on favourite to maybe take out this championship, but it ain't over yet. With 400 points up on offer, realistically, mathematically, I guess the top 5 are looking at that. Those drivers are really the ones that are thinking about, you know, it's still not over yet, even though they've got a little bit of a hill to climb, even though we just did that at the last round. And of course, we saw how heartbreaking that was for the likes of Jared Filsell. It almost looked like that he was going to be championship favourite coming into this, but, you know, he left the mountain with 0 points, and unfortunately, that's really put a stop to his championship campaign. And really, that was going to be, I guess, one of the talking points out of Bathurst, how they were going to go. Unfortunately, it didn't go their way. So the top 5, they're the guys that really are going to be focusing on having a good night and making sure they don't throw away any chances they get and taking on Dylan Rudd. And of course, the other thing we get to think about too is the top 20 cutoff. In our championship for 2025, the top 20 drivers automatically advance. So these guys, regardless of, you know, they're not in it for championship glory, but they need to be above this cutoff line. This is going to revolve so much over the next few next few rounds, including tonight. And thankfully, we're going to have a little bit of a live championship points as far as that goes. So it'll be interesting to see how much this moves around. Like I said, with 400 points on offer, this can change big time, and everyone wants to be above the cutoff line.
I think there's a couple of really crucial names that are in and around that cutoff line and on both sides of it as well. The guy that sits on the bubble sits in 20th place, Zach Rattray White. But for me, he's been the big improver this year. He stands piles above the rest in terms of just where he was at the start of the year. There was no pace in that car. There was no pace in and around him. He's lost teammates along the journey. He's gained a few others. There's been so much shuffling in and around that. And he's just got down to business. He's driven exceptionally cleanly, exceptionally well. He's feeling quite good. Belle Albert sits inside the 20 and 32 above him. Realistically for me, Belle Albert says, hey, I'm not feeling comfortable. That's what I reckon. Belle Albert's actually the marker that the guys behind him have really got to target and go chasing. Jake Maloney sits on the outer by 2 points at the moment to Zach Rattray White. Got to outscore him. Marcelo Rivera. This is a huge one. Marcelo Rivera is not here. Has to be in attendance. His 2025 prospects are done. Put a line through him.
Yeah, I guess that makes the other competitors around him smile a little bit, doesn't it? You know, one man's pain is another man's pleasure. So, yeah, that sort of makes things a little bit interesting, but how heartbreaking for Marcelo to already been taken out of the equation.
Yep, so in terms of the strategy here tonight, what are we looking at? We've already seen Sandman with the graphs, 3 litres a lap. 3.1 litres a lap in terms of the fuel burn. If you're getting a little bit aggressive, 20 seconds on the pit lane transit time. Number to get home, Sam, and this is the critical one that we'll be talking about all night long. Lap 36. You get a safety car on lap 35. coming down, you're going to make it home.
That's right. And I guess that's going to be the biggest curveball for tonight, isn't it? You know, we talk about how tricky that this racetrack can be, the curbs, the bumps, and the way the nature of this racetrack is. You'd almost say there's a 100% chance of a safety car, but I guess you don't want to bet on it, do you? You want to have your pit strategy right as far as not having to risk that gamble on a safety car. But if the cards fall your way, there's no doubt that every team in this pit lane will take it.
Just it. Who gets the cards that fall their way? Who is going to have the cards scrambled, scattered, and cast amongst the field? And the big targets is Dylan Rudd. Must finish. As soon as he finishes, he eliminates 3 drivers automatically. It becomes a heads-up fight between himself and teammate Andrew Gilliam when we go to Spa. If he finishes inside the top 10, that is it. Championship won. That is his only target for tonight. On the other side of the coin, though, have a look at this driver. Sits on the outer. When was the last time he sat down, looked at Sean McNamara and went, yeah, he's not an automatic qualification for next season. And for Sean, he's slowly starting to slip away. He's put a lot of time and effort into a lot of different projects this year. It's taken time out of the sim, but there's a lot of drivers. This is the weirdest results. The order has been so shaken up this year, Sandman. It's the weirdest year on record.
Yeah, absolutely. And none of these drivers want to be in this position at all. Everyone obviously wants to be battling it out for that number 1 championship position. But, you know, obviously the years never always go perfect for you, regardless of who the driver is or who the team is. But you're exactly right. You think about any of those names, you know, outside the top 15 to top 25, and there's any of those drivers, they're worthy of, you know, better results. But, you know, unfortunately, this is the way the year's played out. So what they've got to do is knuckle down and make the most of these next 2 rounds and avoid that cut line.
Yeah, and Sean, whilst he's on the back foot, is mathematically still in contention, mathematically can still make it. How about this guy? Dylan O'Shea, over the last couple of seasons, with the exception of Rick Kuznetsov, has been the standout from 9.5 Sim Sports. Young kid, pushing his way through, a little bit on the aggressive side, and I think that's been him this year. He will have to come through the qualifying series next year. Mathematically, there is 0 chances left for him. His season is done. This is all about personal knowledge at the end of the year.
I guess it's got one of those traits, isn't it, with a driver? If you've got a driver with a little bit of talent, the last thing you want to do is try and speed them up. It's easier to slow a driver down if they're a little bit fast, a little bit, you know, I guess sometimes if you think about some drivers out there can be a little bit reckless, that's probably what you want a bit in a driver, because you can tame that a little bit. If a driver hasn't got that fire in the belly, that's hard to bring it out of them. So you'd rather have a driver that's a little bit fast, a little bit aggressive, and maybe makes mistakes every now and then, because you can tame that back.
As a result. Well, for qualifications, we are splitting them up into 2 different sessions here tonight. Group number 1 is the back half of the field. Everyone, I believe from 23rd through to 45th or so in the championship. Everyone that's has not had the best run in terms of settings thus far. Group number 2 is going to be the front half of the field in terms of championship standings. It's got nothing to do with practice times, nothing to do with pre-qualification. No, it's just where they stand in the championship.
I think I've noticed too with this rate, as we see Dylan doing his lap at the moment, there's already that little bit of build-up around the outside of the racing line too. So that's something that these teams need to be aware of, because that's something that can catch these guys out. So, and while we're going around, we will touch in on the different surface changes, where it's got concrete, where it's got tarmac, and you can see the attitude in the cars up on the bumps that we spoke about too. And those onboard camera shots that we were taking, you can just see how bumpy this racetrack is. It's actually brilliant. It brings a little bit of character.
Does Jacob O'Reilly has gone to the top end of town. Oh, Job Stewart's going to jump out there and take the top time thus far. And for the Super 2 driver, I mean, he's got a boatload of talent, doesn't he, Job Stewart? Well, guess what? He's with a new team here tonight. He did a round earlier on in the season, walked into that, if you remember, your line back, finished on the podium there, celebrated that one, hands together, really, really enjoyed his night. Well, he switched teams again. He sort of floated around as Joe. He's not really mega attached to anyone, but he is now in those blue and black Logitech colours.
Yeah, handy little steerer, isn't he, Joe? So these drivers and teams will absolutely, you know, they'll learn something from him as much as that he will from them. So we touched on that, throughout our Bathurst broadcast about how many real-world drivers we've got in our series, and that's a testament to the Logitech Dream Supercars Pro Invitational, is that the array of talent that we've got, and it really steps things up a notch. When you've got the likes of these drivers that are on track, and when you see what Jobe's doing on track in real life, and then you get to race him on the sim as well. That's pretty special.
I just think it's really, really cool that we've had an opportunity. There's a lot that's going on this year. I sit back and memories sound really cast back over. It's really, really cool things. It's just, at the end of the day, we have a really, really cool job. Most importantly, because we don't have to have talent like the race car win.
Yeah, there's plenty of that lack of talent coming from me, I tell you.
Yeah,
I think we do need to do. Well, we should do a celebrity race one day just to have a bit of a giggle. How about that?
How many arguments do you want you and I to end up with race control? That'll be the big.
I use the word celebrity very lightly too. I should be very careful with that. But I think that might be a bit of fun.
Should it just be the loudest mouth race then? Because we've got a few of those guys. But, I'll tell you what, I did actually get behind the wheel of a supercar last night, Sam. Man, I don't do that very, very often. Well, I'll put it this way, I didn't have to go to the gym today.
Oh, there you go. And which track? Did you tell me it was Belle?
Mugello. It's Mugello. I actually really like that car around Mugello. It's actually quite a lot of fun.
Well, it's I'm very jealous of these guys. As much as I love my racing, I'd love to have that little bit more talent. But every time we grid up for a race, I get extremely jealous that these guys are in the hot seat and have as much fun as they are. But I'll tell you what, that's going to step up a notch when we say goodbye to these cars and say hello to Gen 3. That's only around the corner, and that will certainly spice things up for these drivers to basically get their heads around what will be a brand new car for both manufacturers.
Well, I'll put it this way. I think one of the most interesting prospects is that when you have a look at the drivers that have qualified themselves back in through into this series for 2025, lurking in the back of my mind is not only do they have to qualify, put yourself in let's just grab a handful of those. Brenton Hobson is another one of those drivers that mathematically cannot make his way back in. Has to come through the qualification series. That comes with risks. And quite a lot of times, one bad race in that series, you're done. You're not getting back in. But you got to do it on a new car. Gen 3's around the corner. Do we get it for the qualification? Do you want to just add all of those little things together? I think we get a really mixed up field next year.
Makes it tricky enough to do exactly what you said. It's tough enough to make the series as it is, but then to be in the grips of possibly a brand new car for 2025, that's certainly going to shake things up a bit. So it makes me glad that I don't have the talent and I can just sit here and watch everyone else with the talent.
And the other side, the other note that goes along with that one is that Hobbo's been a pleasure to have along inside the commentary box for most of the qualifying series. Well, he's not going to be able to do that. He'll be behind the wheel.
I think as much as he probably thinks we're okay blokes, but I think he'd much rather do that.
He thoroughly enjoyed that the co-driving clash.
Yeah, he did.
He loved that, so we'll have to get him back behind. If he retires, he could just retire and hang up the gloves.
He'll put us out of a job. Oh, geez, somebody's work cut out for him there. He saw it on the wheel there. You can see just that car just had a little bit of attitude. And that's exactly what he's going to do, just back right out of it. So, unfortunately, that lap didn't go well for him. I think he managed to keep it off the wall, but geez, that car had a little bit of attitude.
Yeah, I think if Hobbo gets allowed back in the commentary box, it's going to turn into variety hour. I think we might be in trouble.
Might be out of a job.
The first of the OG Gear replays of the night, and I get the feeling this is going to be having a look at Hobbo down at turn 5, and that would be why he stepped wide, because he aborted the lap with the contact as well.
So we were on board when that happened, and looked like he just did kiss the contact. So he'll fly back to pit lane, put on another set of Dunlops, and he'll go again.
And I want to say a big shout out as well to OG Gear, who've got in contact and supported us a little bit. New pair of OG Gear gaming gloves. They were in attendance last night for me having a crack at the steering wheel. Been enjoying the product. So a big shout out to all the team. Have you had a crack with them on yet?
Not yet, no, not yet, but it won't be too far away, I tell you. And how good was it to chat with him in Bathurst too, just to get a little bit of an insight about their product and how they're going about supporting sim racing. And we're lucky to have them on board, OGG as a sponsor in our series. And it sounds like that partnership will continue into 2025, which is really exciting.
In the meantime, Thomas Freeman is continuing to move around at the moment. Back to pit lane for him. Wayne Burke is currently attempting to put a lap together. I believe this will probably be an in-lap actually for Wayne Burke. Just looking at things, 29.183 is the case for his current lap time.
Between Joe Stewart and Sean McElroy. That's insane.
I can tell you. So interesting to note as well that the race format here over the last couple of years has seen and soared just a little bit. We get a little bit of a look in at what it looks like over the shoulder of Brenton Hobson. And, well, that explains why people can get a lot better access to their keyboard mid-race. I'm telling you, I always want to see messages typed out by drivers when we start doing something like that. I think mine is certainly not. Over the last couple of years, race format last year was the Super Sprint format, which meant we had 28 lap races, 105 kilometres each. Pole position was Brady Myers last year, 129.292. Already quicker than that, although I get the feeling the track is significantly cooler. In 2022, it was a 60-lap affair, 225 kilometres. We're adding an extra 50 on top of that this year. Jared Filsell took pole position, 127.524. So we are about 9/10 of a second away from that lap time. That'll give you a bit of a marker. I get the feeling probably a touch warmer than that session. That would have been a stone kind of session.
It's almost like a mini enduro, isn't it? 73 laps around here. These drivers will be feeling it when they get out of the cockpit.
Yeah, I'm feeling it just watching them drive after. But yeah, interesting to note. I think you were pointing and touching on it a little bit earlier on, but 275 kilometres, 280 kilometres in that range is the longest race we have had here. And it's going to be one that tests the drivers. So qualifying is one, but I nearly want to say to you, Sam, I'd actually prefer to be part of qualifying one. Even though that puts me in the back half of the grid in terms of point standings, it also means I've got a little bit more time away, a little bit of prep time. I can sit back, relax, and breathe up by the race.
Yeah, and look, at the end of the day, if your car is working right, you've done your setup, obviously, you obviously want to be, I guess, qualifying sometimes with the faster guys, but regardless of what, everyone's got that opportunity. So, yeah, I guess it comes down to the mental game a little bit too, doesn't it? Because, we've seen, regardless of where you are in qualifying, whether it's split 1, split 2, everyone's still got that chance. And as long as you don't get those mind games playing and not messing with that, I think anyone can come from wherever they are, regardless of the session.
Joe Stewart trying to put together another lap at the moment into the final sector. Final couple of corners went purple in sector 1. What's it going to be? He stands on the power. And it's time to deliver for the driver of the 35. 128.408 and moves it up to a 3.25. So improves it by 0.75 of a second. We are down in amongst the final 2.5 minutes of qualifying number 1 as well. Brenton Hobson needs to find some improvement. He will start a new lap. Andre Youssef is about to come across the line and start a new lap. For these drivers, this will be their final opportunity. There will be no more opportunity. Sean McNamara always quotes himself as being better on the bumpier circuits, and tonight he's got an opportunity for that. And I tell you what, Synergy Sim Racing, they say the same thing about themselves as well. They think they've got a car that applies itself to the bumps exceptionally well. And, well, at the moment, we're sitting in the midfield, so we've got some work to do.
Yeah, look, when we were riding on board with him, you saw how easy it was just for these cars to step out. And just as you say that, it's like Hobbo's just popped in a purple first sector. So you might have sparked him up a little bit as we ride on board with him and see how he taxes.
He's one of those drivers that he doesn't get flustered, he doesn't get fiery very, very often, but I want to see some fire from behind the wheel of the 88. He needs it, but not firing up the rear tyres like that. Into the middle sector of the lap now. The slower sectors, keep the car stable, flick it to the left, fling it in as hard as you possibly can, pull it up at 11, but you've got to make sure you get some drive out. It is a reasonable straight out here. Nearly found the tyre barrier. Time is running out. These drivers have got just over a minute left on the board to get their laps started, and for Hobbo, he carried speed all the way to the exit curbs. Is there any room left on this one? Is there a wing mirror flying off of that car? He is flying on the run to the finish line, that is for sure. What's the lap time going to be for Hobbo? 128.723. Finds himself 0.4 of a second. That is going to be all he's capable of. but it does move him a long way further up that leaderboard, and he will be much more happy with that one. The 88 car in 8th spot.
Yeah, he'll take that. That was good that he attacked that last bit and managed to jump up a couple of positions. P8, exactly like you said. Yeah, and how cool was it to have his onboard camera? Big shout out to these drivers and teams that allow us that vision. Makes this broadcast just that little bit more special when we can see the drivers that are attacking their wheels. And huge shout out to Brenton and everyone involved who's given us that vision tonight.
Yeah, and it was interesting to keep an eye on Brady Baldwin. I can tell you he is planning to go down to Adelaide at the moment for the 500 week, and it's not to be a part of anything supercars or 500 related. He's down over there because they've got to be down there for sprint car racing. He is a crew chief and engineer on a sprint car. So, walks away from the sim. As used to have a very, very promising career behind the wheel of a sprint car, and unfortunately for him, tragedy struck and he was robbed of those opportunities, but that doesn't stop him from getting out there and getting on the tools.
Absolutely, and those sprint car boys, they have got big cojones, haven't they? Like, you see the way they attack those racetracks and the speed that they carry. That's some pretty awesome racing.
Yeah, not unable to do that. No, there is just you couldn't. Oh, McNamara pushing and really trying hard to improve. Matty Bowler out there and in a new paint here tonight as well. I believe he's on a flying lap as it currently stands, and that is going to be it from a few drivers down towards the back. That was Yusuf. And retro liveries, I believe this is just a hangover from the Bathurst 1000 liveries, but I like the alternative colour schemes in paints, and this just takes it in a different direction, and I don't hate it for Matty Bowler.
No, I love it. There's a number of cars out there that had terrific paint schemes, especially over that Bathurst weekend. And yeah, it's nice to mix things up a little bit and takes us down memory lane sometimes too, doesn't it? It's brilliant.
Not able to improve, unfortunately, for Bowler on his final lap. Kurt Stenberg. And again, another alternative paint colour livery in the blue and black. The TCR. And I think that is going to be it, because I'm pretty sure everyone that's on a lap has now completed that lap. And as we stand at the halfway mark of qualifying and visiting the historic statue in the middle of Detroit Belle Isle, Job Stewart takes the fastest from the first 15, 20 drivers out here tonight. 1:28.325. Don't think it's going to be good enough for pole, but I have a sneaking suspicion it might be inside the 10. Sean McNamara is going to be sitting in here as well. Jacob O'Reilly, Scott Gamble, Richard Hampstead up to 5th out of that first group, 2/10 off the pace. So look at the difference between himself and Scott Gamble, though, 13 thousandths of a second. Bowler from Veld, Brenton Hobson stays in 8th place with that lap laid on. Damien Johnson, Kurt Stenberg rounds at your 10. We'll throw it over the leaf to the back half. 16 of the drivers from the first session. Andre Yusuf. Dylan O'Shea is going to be very, very long way down the field. He will be upset with that one. Only just ahead of Brady Baldwin, Wayne Burke, Tyson Broad a long way down, and Thomas Freeman as well. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to step away for a few moments, catch our breath, because we're going to need it when qualifying returns. It is going to be the top 22 drivers in the championship right on the other side of this. Back live from the streets of Detroit Belle Isle, we have had 16 Logitech Pro Invitational drivers take to the track in anger. 15 minutes of qualifying out of the way, and then in 40 seconds, we are going to release the top half of the field. And this is where it starts to build, Sandman. And I think we're going to get that first taste from Dylan Rudd of if he's going to show up or if he's going to crack under the pressure. He has never been in a situation like this before, and you really get an opportunity to test the mettle of a driver. And the biggest benefit for him, well, he's got a points buffer. He has got a lot of margin, so he's got room for a little bit of error.
Yeah, well, that's it. And I guess errors, it's not what he wants to think about, but obviously, yeah, that does take a little bit of pressure off it, doesn't it? You know, when you know you've got that little bit of a buffer, that obviously works in your favour mentally. But I think for me, if I was in his position too, you've already seen cars on track, you've seen what times they're capable of, you've got an understanding of what your car's like in practice. So now that there's times on the board, it gives you something to aim for. So I think that takes a little bit of pressure off as well.
And Lobs Esports, so many drivers up towards the pointy end of things. One of the things we haven't talked about thus far is the guy that's in pursuit is Andrew Gilliam. And the big thing is when you have a look at all of the results and all the trends, he's right there, right up and on the podium, right up and amongst it every single time. And he likes this place. Guess where he got his first ever win in the series from? Here, race 1 last year.
Does it make it easier or worse that you're up against your teammates, though? Because you pretty much know that everyone's going to have really good equipment. Your drivers have all been there or thereabouts for the whole season. And knowing that you've got to take it up against your teammate, I think that really makes it a little bit more trickier.
Good's the cheeky grin, Matt. Something funny's just been said in the Trans-Tasman Racing Discord. He isn't focused up at the moment, and I think he's trying to collect himself and bring it all back together at the moment. You can just see now he's... I wonder whether or not that wasn't a mute everybody up, I'm now focused up.
Yeah. You can afford to be a little bit giggly in that on your outlap, and then exactly what you said, it's got about halfway through. He's got the race face on now, so he's probably turned off all the chatter, and it gets serious now, but... yeah, no doubt the boys are just having a bit of a laugh there.
And as for Blake Boys, that's his happy face, that's his pissed off face, that's his poker face. He only has one face, it doesn't change very much. It was really interesting to see that shift from Madison down though. That was cool. I love. One of the worst things about the sport is that, you know, you can't walk over at the end of a bad race and somebody's put you in the fence. You can't walk up and go, hey, what are you doing here? You've wrecked our race car. One of the biggest things is that the helmets are off. You can see, when they've got their webcams up, you can see what's going on their face.
Yeah, and we encourage that, just to have those webcams, just so we can see that little bit of inside of how the drivers attack their racing, and you can see when they're on it. And exactly like you said, it was all laughs and mucking around, but you could see as soon as he switched serious, it was just, race eyes were on, and away he went. But how's the moving around with Ethan Grigalt? They're up on two wheels there, a little bit of attitude in the car. But he's got a nice clear racetrack in front of him. He doesn't have too much to worry. He's still got a fair bit of time up on the clock too. So he can afford to be a little bit aggressive in the first lap.
I'm really, really intrigued. I'm going to do a deep dive in between now and the next race and maybe start getting some report cards out on the number of drivers. And for me, Ethan Grigalt has not necessarily had an outstanding year, but he's not had a bad year either. One of the big things I think for me is that he's just sort of been there and he hasn't been a big show. About the only result he's got to quote is Road America. He blew an engine at Phillip Island early on and he's tagged the wall late on at Watkins Glen. There have been so many unforced errors from him, but the biggest thing right now is that he went out there, he went hard, and he set himself a big lap time. And how about this from Rick Kuznetsov, who's going to go out there and say, right, I was in this championship hunt at one point. Now I want to set a marker out there. James Scott goes out there, sets a big old marker, 128, 120. We are so close to getting into the 127s. Who is going to find the time? Phil Sells 7 thousandths of a second off pole position. And for Madison down, 8th quickest, 3.5 tenths of a second off the pace at the moment. Work to do.
Gilliam goes to the top of the timesheets too. Look at the margin too. Absolutely nothing. Big slide there for Jake Maloney. Holds onto it. Doesn't bin the car. He just heads straight to pit lane and starts again. But man, oh man, absolutely nothing in the top three. Have a look at those times.
Yeah, and I said Gilliam was quick around here. Well, that is the marker. Cast your mind back just a few rounds ago to Road America. Griffin Gardner joined the Lobs Esports outfit. guess where he went on debut for the new team? Straight to the top end of town. And Gilliam, you can just sense he's just been working. He's just been every single round. You can just see little bites he's taken out of these guys. I'm going to be honest. I think he's pushed himself up there and said, hey, I want a championship in 2025.
Yeah, well, hey, he's in contention. He's there. So, why not? And the best bit is that he punched that time out. Look how just the overcast that this track's gone too. So he's done that on his first flying lap. So that's a beautiful banker to go straight into that. And he'd be stoked with that effort.
And there's a replay coming up here at the moment. I'm just not 100% sure necessarily.
Oh,
huge moment.
Yeah.
And that was Maloney. That's Jake Maloney, because that was him entering pit lane. I get that, yeah.
Woo.
But update as well from Brady Myers will be starting the race from the rear of the field. And it's because stewards don't miss anything. They are right onto it. There is a procedure behind things because, well, I'm gonna come out and tell all the fans that haven't already picked it out. I'm on the autistic spectrum. I love me a really, really good procedure, well written. I love a bunch of rules. You have to follow it. Brady Myers, unfortunately, has breached those regulations, has towed outside of the allowed sort of regulations, which is any towing. I think there may have been an issue. I think what's going on is that he actually went out in the wrong session.
Right. Yeah. Oh, that's an easy one to do too. It's an easy little mistake, but unfortunately, the rules are rules, and so that's, he's going to have his work cut out for him for a rear grid start.
His response, that's okay. Wouldn't mind myself a pair of OG gaming gear gloves anyway for driver of the day. Hard charger performance from the rear of the field to the front. Well, he sets himself a challenge. Again, another driver that's just like, I'm out here for a little bit of personal glory. I'm not in a championship hunt. I'm automatically qualified for 2025. Let's turn on hard mode.
Look, he's in 5th in the points. So, I mean, yeah, everything would have to go his way for him to improve significantly in the championship points, but never say never. But still, he's 5th in the points, and mathematically he still has a chance, but that really makes things a lot more trickier for tonight. I guess the good thing that works in his favour that he's got 73 laps to sort it all out too.
Yeah, so we'll be referring to that point standings all night long. And keeping an eye on the Dylan Rudd. Sort of lock yourself in on that 990 on the timing tower all night long. 7th place in terms of qualifying right now. What that means is that is first box ticked. Needed to get himself inside the top 10. Will change as we run out of time here in qualifying for the 280 kilometres of Detroit Belle Isle. And another driver that needs a strong qualifying performance who is on the outside and looking in is going to be that of Jake Maloney, because right now he needs a few points. If he can qualify himself into the top 10 and run there all night, that might be just good enough to get him inside the bubble heading into our final round of the season from Spa.
That's it. You just want to grab every point available this round, and then, like you said, you take it to the last round and just play it as it lies. Unfortunately, no one wants to be in a position where they're trying to battle that cut line, but you can't let it bother you. You just got to try and make as little mistakes as you can, make up some advantages on other drivers that might be having a little bit of difficulty, and just hopefully things go his way. But there's a number of drivers that will be turning around that cut-off, and it'll be playing mind games with them, but you can't let it get to you.
Yeah. And for right now, he's got to make sure that he gets a time on the... That's an issue. That's a hardware. Was he getting out of the way? He was getting out of the way.
Yeah.
Something more's gone on there.
I wasn't looking. Was it a teammate behind him? I didn't see if he was giving a little bit of a tow. I don't know.
Oh, I've been apparently behind him.
Oh,
so
okay. Yeah, maybe he just decided to get out of the way, and but now he's got to fire off. I guess maybe he was thinking about a dive to pit lane and then didn't want to cut across. Not sure.
For Jared Philsell, 1:27.977. It is the first of the drivers to drop down into the 1:27 timings. So he is going to step up and take pole position. He's just about had a monopoly on it this season. And another race where he's going to be right up there. How about Madison down, who improves as well? And all of a sudden,
Gilliam.
Gilliam says, no, I won't be outdone. I want to be on that front row, and I want that pole position. Come after me.
How cool was that? Gilliam, Phil Sell down, James Scott, Griffin Gardner, your top 5. Like, that was just switching around. You could see how much there was movement with that leaderboard, but they're not mucking about, are they? They're really taking it to each other. This is going to be an absolute cracker of a race. Look at that top 5.
And have a look at Job Stewart's time, still inside the top 10 as well. Keep an eye on Bo Albert, needs a strong performance here tonight just to give himself enough room for some errors maybe at Spa. At this point in time, Josh Anderson on a flying lap as he is going to run down and into turn number 3. That's what it looks like from on-board a driver. A lot of curb, but you've got to attack the curbs in this car. They do like a little bit of a raised inside tyre like that. That was brushable also.
The scary bit is when you're up on 2 wheels, where that part of the racetrack that he just went through, right on the left there is grass. So, you know, a little touch of the grass and that ruins his lap, but he's still on it. But man, oh man, he was having a red hot go. And speaking of red hot goes, I mean, look at that paint scheme, the old HRT. I just love that livery. So cool to see him rocking that still for this round. And, mate, he's not mucking around, is he? Have a look at him go.
Come out. I think what's happened is it come out for the retro rounds all the way back at Sandown. They both went, we like it. Yeah, I don't think we're going to swap back. I think we're just sticking with this to the end of the year. They both love it. Both him and Brady Myers just love this paint scheme.
He hasn't got a time on the board yet, has he? So he's leaving it late. Oh, right up against the concrete.
Was that a tap of the concrete? I feel like it might have been. He is using all the limits. Well, he's not coming to the pit lane, so that says this one might be valid. 4 minutes left in terms of qualifying. Second to the last qualifying attempt of the season. 28.462 is going to put a time on the board for Josh Anderson that is good enough for 13th at the moment. Slots in behind Bo Albert, and Bo will that one. Ian Ford, we're getting a look at the moment on the run down to turn number 3. Locks the rears. Tyre barrier.
Oh, man, look like almost a carbon copy of an IndyCar shunt when they have that sort of problem. The rear gets away with him, tagged the tyre barrier. Thankfully, he's able to keep going. Not too much damage, but he'll fire straight to pit lane. You can see the left guard punched in, but he got away with it, though.
And how's the blue and black cars on the run down through the first sector? Enough time on the board for 2 more cracks at it at this point in time, but I get the feeling we'll only see one more. Ethan Greig goal in the 7 machine, sits 7th on the road. Rick Kuznetsov, I'm liking this from Rick. I wanted to see some fire from him this season when he had a shot at leading the championship. We have seen that from him, and I'd say at the end of the season, you'd sit there and go, yeah, you know what? It's actually not been a bad season for Rick Kuznetsov.
Yeah, look, I think every driver, obviously everyone wants to win the championship, but if you can put yourself to be in a position where you're reasonably competitive and there or thereabouts, that's what everyone wants. There's nothing worse than having an absolute rotten season where you walk away, you might be 30th or 40th or something and things just don't go your way. But at least, if you're competitive and you're taking it to the guys each week, that's what drivers want.
James Scott in the middle of what is likely to be his final qualifying attempt. A little bit of a wiggle as he comes onto the back straight away, and the other driver I'm sort of looking up and down the leaderboard for is Luke Rosella, Bathurst winner, sits 16th at the moment. A lot deeper in terms of things. What's James Scott got for us on the run down to the end of the back straight? Turn 7. It's this up in and around tight technical section through 8 and 9. Be difficult to overtake here. Going to require a mistake.
Yeah, well, iRacing needs to work on ripping these wing mirrors off, I think, because I don't imagine that James Scott would have wing mirrors on this thing after his lap. He's been right up against the wall, having a red hot go. But how cool would that be to see these mirrors just bouncing off these race cars?
Oh, I reckon within about the first 5 laps, there'd be none left.
We love it.
So for James Scott, gets it back down to the start-finish line, improves, also drops in the 1 minute 27s, bumps his teammate Phil Sell. Phil Sell will drop one more spot. I've just seen Dylan Rudd, if he's on a qualifying lap, he's had a big slide, so I think he is not going to improve from where he is, which means he's under pressure. There is not enough time for him to get back out and get another lap on the board, so I think he'll have a crack at finishing this one. Luke Rosella, we're just talking about how he's a long way off the pace as it currently stands. Well, he's found something. He's found a purple in the first sector. The lap time's coming together for the driver that started the season off with a couple of DNFs.
This is interesting that I said about these championship contenders that are all within the same team. You know, all your teammates are going to have great cars around here, and I think Luke's going to show us this. He's currently sitting in 18th. He said that Purple Sector 1, he's got a little bit of a toe there as well, so he's going to take this to the flag. Let's see how far this jumps him up the grid.
And for Luke Rosella, short run of the line, manages to improve by about 0.4 of a second, moves inside the top 5, immediately gets bumped outside of the top 5. Luke Rosella back to 7th spot at the moment. Kuznetsov's improved, Gardner's improved, they've both jumped back up there. 30 seconds left in terms of qualifying. Anderson on the run of the line. He's looking to try and improve. Jordan Ross is going to have a crack at this one as well. Looks to be the best of the Synergy Sim Racing drivers so far tonight. How about Blake Warboy snuck under the radar, sits in 9th spot on the track as well.
It's an absolute cracker of a top 10 so far. What's Jordan got as he runs to the line? Sitting in P16, crosses the start-finish line. Can he improve on it? Doesn't quite do it.
And now Robbie Gibbs, remember this guy? Led the championship all the way back at the conclusion of round number 1. But Jared Filsell, checkered flag is in the air, is on his final lap of the session. Can he steal the pole position on it at the second last time of asking from Jared Filsell? Final lap qualifying, checkered flag in the air. What's he got for us? He is having a red hot go from the driver of the 94 machine. Championship picture is gone to the lane. It is going to be done. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to say it, Andrew Gilliam sticks it all together and has taken pole position away from his teammates by 8, count them, 8 thousandths of a second.
Doesn't get much closer than that. That very impressive. And wow, to take it over his teammate Jared Filsell, impressive times there. Josh Anderson really trying hard, but he nailed that wall, so his lap is over. But what a qualifying session. And Lobs Esports showing that their pace is definitely real today, as it has been all year.
Yeah, I reckon we are just about done in terms of qualification at the moment. I don't see anyone out there on a lap as it stands. So Andrew Gilliam is not only going to celebrate with a very, very strong run late on in the championship, but pole position from a track where it probably matters the most.
Yeah.
And that is confirmation. Andrew Gilliam in the 201 entry moved teams 3 times in the last 12 months. Has now found himself in a comfortable machining position and does engineering work in the real world as well for DJR. And he has grabbed himself a play seat pole position. 1:27.826 the time to beat. Jared Filsell got close, not quite able to knock him off. 8 thousandths of a second was all that separated him from qualifying in the play seat pole position. He will still start from the front row. James Scott, 10th of a second further back, sits on row number 2. And the first non-doing okay Lobs Esports car is that of Madison Down, who put the game face on and then turned the wick up and went out there and set a quick lap. On row number 3, though, Griffin Gardner was pole position all the way back at Road America, a little bit deeper in the field, but in a great position. And boy, hasn't he been improving of late. Rick Kuznetsov saw flashes of brilliance from him. Really, really loved the way he drove that car back at Phillip Island. He is going to be out of 6th spot. Luke Rosella improved late on in that session. It's been a trials and tribulations kind of year for both of the guys on this row. Sits in 7th spot. He's very, very happy with his Endurance Cup campaign. Ethan Griegold starting off alongside of him. We'll be looking for big things from the first of the ERT drivers here tonight. Blake Warboys sits inside the top 10. Mr. Quiet, Mr. Consistent, always looking to perform. But for Job Stewart, has had such a strong year. Every time he gets the opportunity to get behind the sim racing wheel, I hope we can see more of him from 2025. Dylan Rudd needs to finish 1 spot further forward from where he starts here tonight. If he does that, it is going to be a championship for him. Sean McNamara is going to start off alongside of him. Really strong qualifying performance from Sean. He'll be happy with that one at a 12th spot. 13th and 14th on the grid. Bo Albert, strong performance, will be lining up alongside of his teammate Robbie Gibbs. Led the championship all the way back at the conclusion of Sebring when things went his way. Could it be another one of those performances here tonight? Joshua Anderson out of 15th and Jordan Ross out of 16th. 8th row of the grid. Jordan Ross has been pretty consistent starting about that spot right throughout the season. Adam Briggs has had an up and down season, 17th spot on the grid for him. Jacob O'Reilly finds some speed. Good for him. Good to see for the 222 driver, first of a million motorsports cars. Scotty Gamble would like to qualify his way back in for 2025. He's going to have to do it the hard way, this time inside the top 20. Richard Hampstead will line up alongside of him out of 20th spot. Outside of the top 20, Matthew Bowler. He's cheeky and he's a fun-loving guy, and there is another teammate alongside of him. These two, when you get them alone in a room, are an absolute hoot to hang out with, 21st and 22nd for the ERT drivers. Out of 23rd is going to be Zach Rattray-White. He'll be disappointed with that qualifying performance, and if he needs to press his way forward and stay inside the bubble, he's going to have to get a good getaway off alongside of Brett and Hobson. Look to try and pick up some spots on lap 1 for both of those drivers here tonight. Out of 25th and 26th, we're going to be looking at Damian Johnson and Kurt Stenberg, two veterans in terms of V8s racing in Australia, and two drivers with a whole host of strong results behind them. And both of those drivers starting to lose their shine. I really hope that we see them back from 2025. Andre Youssef and Dylan O'Shea, both of these drivers with something to prove, I think, and they won't be finding it from qualifying here tonight. Will they find it from the race? Brady Baldwin qualifies inside of the top 20. Ian Ford will start off alongside of him to round our top 30, just over a second back, all the way to 30th. Wayne Burke and Tyson Broad, 31st and 32nd. Before we will get outside of these guys, back to Thomas Freeman will be the final of our qualifying drivers. I can tell you there is one more driver to line up alongside of him. Actually, that's two, because not listed there because they did not set qualifying times. Brady Myers out of 34th and Jake Maloney out of 35th. And I do have a correction for our viewers that are watching along at home. I'm going to make a significant apology. I said DJR for Andrew Gilliam. I'm incorrect. I'm glad that somebody has pointed out that. Do your research, write your notes, and make sure that you do some reading. It is Matt Stone Racing for Andrew Gilliam that he is an engineer from. And it's time for the Gamesman Grid Walk. We're going to be chatting to the driver who has just walked away with pole position. We're chatting for a driver a little bit deeper in terms of the field. The driver that sits first in terms of the championship, Dylan Rudd, outside of the top 10 from qualifying. Probably a little bit left on the table there, mate. Some more to find, you feel?
Nah, the pace was there, just didn't put the lap together, so it wasn't an ideal qualifying session, but you get that sometimes, just makes it a little bit harder in the race, so see how we go.
No matter which way you cut it around Detroit Belle Isle, it's a tough first lap, and you are just ahead of the kink back here. A little bit of a straight run. Sitting there looking down at the Corvette Bridge, mate, what's the thoughts on, is it survival lap 1? Is it give yourself an opportunity to cut your way through in the race?
Survive lap 1, and if any opportunities arise, and we'll take them, but just survive lap 1 probably be the most important thing.
Talk to me about your mentality heading into tonight. You know you only need 10th to walk home with a championship. Is that the marker, or it's just, hey, I'm just going to drive the exact same as I've done all season long?
I think just drive the same as I've done all season. I think start doing something different now, something will probably go wrong, so just keep doing the same stuff I've done all year.
Righto, mate. We'll get the head down. Best of luck. And when we're talking to you in 73 laps time, here's fingers crossed that it's with 2024 champion alongside your name, mate. Good luck.
Yeah, cheers. Thank you.
Sandman, though, you've walked back down the field to a driver that has been on the improve and has driven some phenomenal races this season, but qualifying not going the way of Zach Rattray-White tonight.
Absolutely. Down here with Zach Rattray-White from Vermilion Motorsports, mate. P23. I guess it's not too bad. It could be a lot worse. Obviously, qualifying didn't go to plan. How's the car feeling?
Mate, I've had an absolute howler. It felt good in practice, but it's not feeling the wave at the moment, is it? It's a bit slow.
How are the nerves, mate? You're gridding up for the start of this race. I guess the thing that's playing in the back of your mind is that T20, that cut-off line. Is that sort of weighing on your mind for the moment, or you're not letting that get to you at this stage?
Well, wherever we finish, I guess. I mean, around here, you probably just want to finish. That's probably the main goal. So, whatever happens, I guess.
And I reckon that's the best way to go about it too. If you stress too much about it, you're probably going to send yourself into a silly mistake. So, preparation for this week, has it been good? Have you been looking forward to this round?
Preparation has been pretty much nil. Am I looking forward to it? Not really. The concrete walls are calling by name. I can feel it.
Well, maybe just give him a little kiss. Don't make out with him too much, mate, just so you can make the race. 73 laps around here. You're going to have your work cut out for you. So keep the car clean, and hopefully we're talking to you a little bit later on the end of the night.
That's it, mate. Fire up.
There you go, Zach. Very right, mate. All the best. And Scotty, I reckon you've gone a little bit further down and you've found yourself Tyson Broad.
Mate, get this guy out of my commentary booth. He every single time I talk to him, he only brings up bad memories for me, all right? So, ladies and gentlemen, we're chatting to a good buddy of mine who loves to absolutely rattle my cage and take the mickey out of me. Tyson Broad, you're in the field yet again. This is a tough old track to get around. You've got to navigate one corner before you even start the first lap, mate. But there's a few cars in the rear view mirror. Hey, anything can happen when you come to the streets of Detroit, Belle.
I don't think they're going to be in my rearview mirror for long. Yeah, I guess the main thing is tonight just to try and survive. Obviously, with the walls a lot closer, there is a more chance of safety cars here than probably most other tracks. So, yeah, just got to try and keep it out of the walls and try and keep it out of the others.
Mate, as usual, I enjoy looking at your paints. The delivery always flares really, really nicely when you get some of that sunlight on it. Have you got a target in mind for tonight, or just keep banking experience, keep knocking away at it, and keep targeting 2025?
Yeah, mainly the ladder, and I guess one goal tonight is to try not to get lapped. There's always the goal heading into these events, just try and, get as close to the pack as I can. I know I'm not the quickest driver in these cars, but then again, I'm 4 years behind on knowledge compared to everyone else in the field. So, yeah, it's a try and see what happens.
All right, mate. Well, best of luck here tonight. We'll let you settle on and get the race face on and head down. Good luck. Go get them.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our Gamesman Grid Walk, and I tell you what, I'm sitting here fuming. Every single time I get fed a little bit of information by somebody, it's wrong. Our producer has given me 3 big stats this year and 3 big pieces of information. Every single one of them he's fed to us. He's fed me bad info. So, Jay...
he's keeping you on your toes, that's what it is.
Jay says they were right at the time of publication, and he's incorrect yet again. We do love Detroit. We do love the streets of Detroit. We don't love our producer at this point in time, so I'm bickering on. I might have to have a punch on with him the next time I see him. We'll see. Punch on or a beer, one of the two.
Yeah, let's go to beer. That's right.
Is there anyone with a minute left before we go green flag racing here tonight that you're sitting there and going, I think he's really out of sequence? Obviously, we just spoke to Zach Rattray-White. We think he's out of sequence. Dylan says he's out of sequence. Is there anyone you really got your eye on?
No, there's probably a number of people there that are just saying that they didn't quite hit it for this race. And, everyone will have a sob story, but at the end of the day, the results don't lie. Everyone's been able to do the best foot they can and, in the time they've got. So, no, there's no standouts, but I reckon it's anyone's race.
Well, I'm going to have to keep an eye on Brady Myers as he progresses through the night. That's given us a really, really interesting story to watch. So, righto, ladies and gents, it is about time to go racing. I want to hear from every single one of our fans that are out there. I want to hear who's your pick for a wild result. Who is going to survive the chaos and carnage from the streets of Detroit by Isle? Who is going to stand atop the mountain when we get to the tail end of things? Could tonight be the night that we crown our 2024 champion, or does it move on to Spa-Francorchamps? That is a moment in history for this series as well that caused a bunch of little arguments and bickering to start in the 2023 season. Could it change things for 2024? The streets of Detroit Belle, they come alive with V8 supercars. The run down to turn number 1. Gilliam gets a good launch. Is he looking to try and cover it? Where does everyone go in the background? Looks like Madison Down got a great launch. He fires it down to the inside of James Scott. Little bit of space. He'll try and find it on the outside of turn number 2, though. It's going to be a big old tough ask. And first box ticked. Andrew Gilliam is the guy that's in a shot to try and win this one for 2024. He's got to take points back off of Dylan Rudd, and he's ticked that first box, leads them as they get down to turn number 3. Where do they all fire in? 3 wide, I thought, for half a moment in the middle of the pack, and it is chaos. It is peak hour. It is a parking lot at turn 3.
Well, I don't know if they managed to get through there or not, but man, everyone was having a red hot go, going 3 and 4 wide in some parts of the racetrack. Early touches with the wall for a couple of our competitors, but I think everyone managed to get away with it. There was a lot of smoke. I thought there was going to be a car around the wrong way.
Well, I thought there was going to be one there as well. Back through the rear of the field. Was that, I believe that was Ian Ford who might have been a little bit out of position. Indeed, he has tumbled a couple of spots. So whether or not that's just the pack as they bank up. Are they 3 wide yet again? My word, they are getting insane. And have a look at Brady Myers already looking to snag as many spots as he can. He started 34th on the grid. He's 27th. He's gained 7 on lap 1. You've got to be aggressive. He might not be done. Have a look at Dylan O'Shea and Brady Baldwin are going at it just in front of him. Oh, it's going to be not 275 kilometers. And there's Myers to the inside. Does he pick off another one? Well, he's going to get the drive. He's got the inside when they get down here to turn number 12. He makes it 8 on lap 1. Oh,
that's insane. How did we not remember about Myers starting from last? Obviously, he's the one that's out of position, and he is just making an absolute charge. So to make those positions up in the opening lap, credit to him. He's done a brilliant job.
Well, he's certainly out there. He's certainly having a crack. And the best part is he's still got all 4 doors on the thing as well. I thought for sure there'd be a couple of scratches. I reckon we might have to get in contact with our social media team and see if we can't get a ride on board with Brady Myers for lap 1. He got a ride on board when he took pole position all the way back at Bathurst, remember?
Yeah, that's it. But geez, he put that to some good use too. So really diced his way through those positions. He's got a tiny bit of space now, but how's this battle up front? Jared Filsell really putting the pressure on his teammate in Andrew Gilliam.
And O'Reilly was the car that got into a whole bunch of chaos all the way back at that start. So Matthew Bowler and Jacob O'Reilly both have the meatball flag, and they are where the whole big bunch of damage starts. So for you, ladies and gentlemen, guarantee you that we're going to get ourselves an OG Gear replay from that one.
Yeah, that's always, when you get that meatball flag, here we go, the OG Gear replay. It's just, big dive under brakes. Everyone's having a red hot go. Oh, that's just contact there. Geez, it could have been a lot worse. I thought that was going to be, like you said, you called it that it could have been a parking lot, and it definitely had that recipe there for that. But everyone managed to get away, but obviously some damage to those cars as well.
Mate, I don't understand how it wasn't a parking lot. You see that amount of smoke at Detroit Bolo and you go, oh, it's over, it's done, they're all going to be static. But they got away with it.
That's it.
And we're going to another replay from Robbie Gibbs, and it's at turn 2. So this is the start. And he dives it all the way to the inside, taking a little bit of a look, trying to cut his way through the field. And then where does this end up from here? Whack the wall. Yeah.
Oh, crunch. Yeah, that's not ideal, obviously. But, it's only turn 2 and he's already made heavy contact. Thankfully, he's still going, but, not ideal.
It just gave you a little bit of a ride over the rise and fall at turn 2 as well, because it's not just turn in, point the car, get it settled, and go. No, you've got to ride up and over the crest and keep things pointed in the right direction. So O'Reilly did get back out. It was only a short amount of damage for him to get that car repaired and maintain his position on the lead lap, but the problem is he's 14 seconds ahead of the leaders. One of the things we never actually talked about, I think it will actually come about here tonight, field spread at Detroit Belle, because you get guys that start to fight each other. I have a feeling we may end up with lap traffic with 280 kilometres to think about in terms of just on pace, on sequence and where things go, and that will play into the hands of pit strategy as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You see race control's been busy already, so that's Hampstead who's got that 10-second penalty for contact with Jordan Rocks on that first lap debacle, so he'll have that 10-second penalty. But how's the field now? Lap number 4, and you talked about the distance between these guys and possibly getting lapped. The top screen is our race leader, and the bottom screen, that's our last place car just crossing the start-finish line now, and that's only after a few laps, so that's definitely something to think about.
That's back to 33rd, because there are 2 cars that have been in and out of the pit lane already, which is Bowler and O'Reilly, so they're out of sequence effectively. But yeah, you're right, that is Thomas Freeman at the tail end of the field, and that gives you a really, really good understanding of what that looks like. Up and on the wall as they turn away from it. This just before they enter the back straightaway down at turn 5, and something's happened to Hayden Veld.
Oh, hello.
I did actually see somebody over on YouTube said, I've got $100 on for Hayden Veld not to finish tonight's racing.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So if they've got the lucky 8 ball, the magic 8 ball, I want to see what other, things come out of the crystal ball.
Hayden's not happy either. Look at him. He's here we go. The OG Gear replay will tell us all. A dive up the inside. Looks like there's going to be a little bit of contact up on 2 wheels. So he touched the inside barrier. Sorry, the barrier. Oh, that secondary contact wasn't ideal either. The car just jumped up over the curb, and that's what got him to his door. So,
and they raced hard, but it's so much, and you're right, I agree with you. Secondary contact's probably put a huge mark on the left rear tyre and a lot of angle on that. No meatball flag, so we will be able to continue.
You touched on it. You can see just as we go on Robert Gibbs, when these guys get up, you can see how much curb these guys use in these V8s. You know, we know our Aussie tin tops love bouncing up over the curbs, but when you're in there and you're trying to make a move up the inside, when you're up on 2 wheels, you don't have all that car control that you once had. The lap pro. Oh, see a dive up the inside there. You don't have that grip, and that can be so easy to make contact when you're side by side.
Just want to keep an eye on where Brady Myers' progress has gone. He's already plus 10 spots. He's overtaken Dylan O'Shea now. So just outside the top 20. His next victim actually will be Zach Rattray White. Such has been his progress. So this is from the front end of the field. Our front 3. Gilliam from Phil Sell from James Scott.
Look at its line astern for these guys for the moment. It's only lap 5. You know, they obviously don't need to do anything silly. It's a long race round here, 73 laps. So they've got their work cut out for them. There's no need to push too hard just yet.
Issue for Tyson Broad, we're hearing. Run down to turn number 3. Is he getting here hot? I'm going to say yes, he does.
Yeah, locks the rear. Bang.
That's the problem. Once you lock a rear, the car bobbles. You've got to come off the brake and get back onto it. And there's just nowhere to go around here.
And it's making that decision too. Do you go left down the escape road, or you try and make the corner? That's the.
Well, the OG Gear Hard Charger Award from the Mountain. It was Zach Rattray White, who unfortunately had issues, couldn't make qualifying, and had to start from the rear end of the field. Cut his way through, including a few moments where he's actually at the lead of the race on an off-sequence strategy just to do something a little bit different. It tended to work out for him. And he's had a lot spoken about him. I was actually talking to a few people in and around the Vermilion Motorsports. They regularly get people contacting them going, hey, we'd like to have him come race for us when and where he can, but he is staying loyal to them.
Oh, that's cool. That's good. And it's one of those things when you get ingrained in a team too, you know, you've got that camaraderie and, you know, the friendships that build in within a team, and sometimes you just work really well with certain people too. So it's good that he's sticking strong, and, you know, opportunities will probably arise as the years goes on. But for the moment, like you said, he's staying at Vermilion, and, I guess for him, he's now thinking about hopefully what 2025 can look like for him.
Jake Maloney and Dylan O'Shea. And down the inside, nice and easily done.
Ooh, crossover.
For Jake Maloney. But the switch back on for Dylan O'Shea. And that is how you go racing at Detroit Belle Isle. Is that Briggs trying to line him up and have a crack as well? You bet it was.
Looked like he just touched those marbles too a little bit. So, yeah, obviously made contact with the wall, but it was good little crossover. I love that.
Something just crossed my mind, and I think this is sort of topical to sort of talk about. Does it feel right that the second last round of what could be the final season of the Gen 2 chassis sees us go to the home of Chevrolet as we move from the Holden Commodore to the Chevy?
You've been thinking outside the box, haven't you?
There's just Chevy signage everywhere. So, I mean, you know, home of Cadillac as well. It's just, I mean, Detroit is Motor City, USA.
Yeah, that's it. But how exciting for these teams and drivers with the introduction of the Gen 3 for next year. We haven't got obviously a date. It just missed out on the latest season release. So we'd like to think it will be ready for next year, for 2025. And how exciting that's going to be. It's just going to be so cool.
At the end of the day, get it right, get it done, and release it properly. Yeah, don't do it by halves. And I'm willing to wait another year if it means that we get things properly.
Ooh, yeah.
Well, for us, it'll be a year. It will only be 3 months, you know, maybe next year.
Okay, sorry, I know what you mean now. I thought you wanted to add another 12 months. I think people were getting to throttle you.
I will retain all further comments surrounding the Gen 3 chassis. For sanity.
Oh, let's check the charge here. So, Anderson looking a little bit racy here. P13. Oh, how's the opposite lock that he's fighting on that car, though? Really having a go. We saw that we were on board with Robert Gibbs earlier when Josh Anderson made that move right at this very turn where he is now. So he's all over the back of Sean McNamara. And he's looking racy at the moment.
I'd love to see Sean McNamara. Oh, yeah, just sliding into the turn and sliding out of the turn as well. I'd love to see Sean McNamara get a top 10 before the end of the year. I think it's just a confidence shot in the arm. He's a lovely guy too, and at the head, he's in charge of things. All 9.5 sim sports. Robbie Gibbs is starting to look like he wants an opportunity at Anderson now.
Just want to hear some blink a little bit too, so that could be a little bit off-putting for Gibbs, but looks like it's all settled down.
I'm just waiting for the 50 cent part.
Well, that's the comment, isn't it? That's our sport. That's our 50 cent part, isn't it? That can really sort of make or break us, and it's totally out of our control. So there's been so many hard luck stories, isn't there, with that? And, I guess for the moment, Anderson doesn't have to worry about it just yet, and hopefully it doesn't annoy him for the rest of the night.
I hope our producer is going to queue us up a replay of that cheeky dive bomb that Brady Myers just pulled off, because that was brilliant. I got to watch it over on my telemetry, but it was one we've already seen from him tonight. This one was just a send, and it was perfectly executed. So check this out. He's lining up Zach Rattray. What is this called? This little next battle pack of cars.
Oh, the dive.
Look how far back he is, though. Bang. And he just goes. Done.
Yeah. Nice. It reminds me of what Van Gisbergen did on the streets of Chicago for that first race, where Van Gisbergen was doing that little dive. So that's a nice move there.
I think the big key to it.
Yep.
Yeah, for Brady Myers, I think the big key to it is that, number one, they're not expecting it. Number two, once you're down there, it's too late to respond.
Yeah, that's it. You've just got to give them real estate. So, yeah, nice move.
He's cut his way all the way back through to 23rd, and Zach Rattray-White's catching him. Rattray-White's actually going to push him along and see if he can't help him out. And this is Scotty Gamble trying to hang on to spot inside the top 10, 20 at the moment. Brenton Hobson's managed to pick off a few spots. Oh, they're going to go around. This could be our first safety car of the night. Cars scattered everywhere. And somehow, the man with one of the most mythical beards in motorsport, he might have to give it a rub and go, oh.
How did he get through that? That was so lucky. These guys have been able to get point in the right direction, but that was just a chain reaction, a bounce off the tyres straight into traffic. Here we go into the OG Gear replay. These guys were having a red hot go. I still don't know how he missed that incident.
Yeah, Gamble had a crack, got in deep, bounced off the wall. Around goes Jordan Ross. That's the second time tonight I think Jordan Ross has been tagged too, because wasn't he the one on lap one?
That's right.
So he's been in the wars, unfortunately, as Jordan Ross, but he's just about locked in for 2025, so he can afford to have an off night here. And for Scott Campbell, Brady Myers has just got put in the wall by a teammate, but nonetheless. It was only a rub. He's going to get a bigger rub this time, and now he is in the fence. Zach Rattray-White gave him space a couple laps ago. And it was a very clean, very polished-looking 22. It is no more.
Yeah, she's got some damage there, isn't it? That left front's custard, but a little bit of damage there. We go to the OG Gear replay. We're going to see exactly what happened. He's come from a long way back on his teammate. Oh, he's gone in deep and just cut right across the nose. I don't know if there was much contact there. And this is where it was. It was at door-to-door, into the marbles, into the wall. And that's where a lot of that damage has come from.
Way too hot for having Zach Rattray-White back up his inside, but what that has done now is pack that battle pack of cars back up again. They are all about to have a red-hot go at each other. Rattray-White gets his way through to the head of the queue. Now he's going to have Dylan O'Shea, Jake Maloney, Brady Myers, and Adam Briggs hanging off the rear end of this group for company, and you're going to see this all night long. Little groups of cars. 9th, 10th, 11th is one of them. 1st, 2nd, 3rd is another. 12th through to 15th is another group again, and they are just all squabbling for it because there's a cork in the bottle, and then you just got to wait for the opportunity to present itself.
Are we surprised about how aggressive they've been. It's such a long race, 73 laps around here. I mean, I think a lot of these drivers could afford to maybe just dial it back a little bit. I know that's not much in a race car driver's DNA to dial it back, but being that it's so early on, we can see some wounded cars out there. I think a lot of these drivers would be better off if they were just that little bit patient, because we would imagine that you would see a safety car around here, but we haven't seen those yet.
Well, that's not like Brady either. He's usually Mr. Cool, Calm, Collected, and he will just pick you off whenever he so feels like. He's just waiting for the best opportunity. He just went for it. Absolutely went for it. So, either way, it has now brought about a number of changes of positions in terms of fastest laps versus most recent laps. Fastest lap of the race belongs to Andrew Gilliam. He's now fallen off. His most recent lap time was about 0.8 of a second slower. So they're getting out further away from that one. Short oval racetrack here as well. 3.78 kilometres, under 4Ks. But it works that tyre so hard. And you can see Blake Warboys, big old puff out of the cheeks. He is already working hard.
Yeah, I do love these onboard cameras where we see, these drivers where you can see their setup at home and how they go about their racing, how they work their wheel, some of the postures that you see, we've commented when we see Kirk Stenberg, he gets right up on the wheel when he's racing. It's cool to watch to see how he goes about it. I don't know how he's not worn out at the end of it when he's up on the wheel like that, but really good insight, and we love that these teams and drivers share their cameras with us for the broadcast. It's really cool.
They don't have to. Not required.
No. It's just, it's good incentive from them, gives maybe their teams and their sponsors just that little bit more exposure, but we love to see more of it, and something that we highly encourage for especially for next year, for 2025.
Yeah. And Warboys is continuing to just have a crack, sits inside that top 10. And we're keeping an eye on the live points as well. This is going to be something that we keep an eye on right throughout proceedings here tonight. Jake Maloney has worked his way inside that top 20. Who's shuffled their way out? Remember, Ian Ford's been in the wars tonight, so he's losing points. Tom Freer is another one of those drivers that's not in attendance, and he was just inside our bubble. So that is why it's shuffled, and availabilities at the back end of the season could be quite critical. Oh boy, here we go. First of the pit stops, Jake Maloney's going to be the first one to dive into the lane. I do wonder. This just keeps shuffling the point cycle around. Him just pitting shuffles McNamara in and him back out again. So that will come back his way. But I like this choice from Maloney. That pack was getting feisty. This shuffles him out of it. He's on the back foot. He's going to have a very, very long run to the flag. But hey, he's grabbing his season by the throat. He's going to wrestle it around.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, maybe a little bit of clear air, some fresh tyres. I mean, that could work in his favour. And if he gets enough of a long run here, if he can get 5, obviously maybe 10 laps or more into it, and then a safety car starts to come into it, it could shuffle things up and make things a little bit interesting. But, hey, I like it. Roll the dice. Don't do what every other driver's doing out there, and just, run your own strategy.
There is a really, really interesting number that we're looking at, and I was actually doing the math on this one in the background. So the only way that this matters is if Dylan Rudd does not score points at either this race or the next race. Right now he is exactly 200 points behind Dylan Rudd. So basically, if things finish as they are, and this is why I said at the top of the show, a 10th place for Dylan Rudd guarantees him a championship because it puts it to 202. If they finish level, what it actually shifts the responsibility across to is Andrew Gilliam to win the final 2 races of the season. If he does so, he'll have better tiebreakers than Dylan Rudd.
How close is it? I'd like to be in Dylan's position at the moment. He's rolling around in P11. He's got a couple of positions there that, he can capitalise on, and it's only lap 14. He's got a straight race car, and that's what he needs to do, is just stay out of trouble, keep a straight race car. And, when you've got that little buffer of just needing to be inside the top 10, that makes it a lot easier and takes the stress away from the driver.
Penalty coming our way as well. Josh Anderson's made contact with Sean McNamara. I did hear McNamara on the radio a couple laps ago looking at and thinking about things. But yeah, he'll have 5 seconds to serve whether or not he takes it. His pit stop, takes a post-race, is up to him. But the risk is you see a safety car. Well, that packs everyone up. 5 seconds right now might not mean a lot, but you never know what's going to happen at the back end of the race.
Yeah, I'm always of the opinion that drivers should serve that penalty as soon as they have that next pit stop. But hey, that's just my opinion. But yeah, you don't want to have that penalty, and then if you save it for the end of the race, and if there's a safety car, exactly like you said, you can go from somewhere up towards the pointy end to rear a group pretty fast.
Phil Sell, he just watches, he stalks, and he waits.
Yeah. He's just biding his time. He knows he doesn't need to do anything. These top three, they're just walking away at the moment a little bit. They've got that, 2.5 seconds over Madison down. So, the Lobs guys, they're in full control of this, and, I don't think they're too stressed about anything at this stage. They're just clicking off the laps and thinking about when their pit stops are going to happen. But Jared's just sitting there looking at the back of Andrew Gillingham and saying, all right, beautiful day. We're doing some laps around Belle, and we're sitting in a pretty good position at this stage.
Refresh my memory, but I feel like there was a chat that we had with Andrew Gilliam. I can't remember exactly where it was earlier on in the season, but he basically said, yep, tonight my responsibility was to play rear gunner for the guys ahead of me, and there was no real reason for me to get aggressive. Do you think they repay the favour to him here tonight? Because Phil Sell could get involved in this, Scott could get involved in this, but they're both sitting here saving fuel, and he's not running away from them. And he's unlikely to run away from them as well. Do they just go, okay, it's my night to play rear gunner as well, but hey, Phil Sell and James Scott have been at the top of their game for a very, very long time, and Gilliam is up there and now, trading pace with them.
Beauty is that when you've got teammates behind you, you've got that little bit of less pressure, because you know that driver behind you is a teammate. They're not going to do a silly dive bomb move, Yeah, I think for the moment they're just sitting. I think if Jared wanted to pass him at the moment, he probably could. But at this stage, he's quite happy to sit.
Remember how we were saying Matthew Bowler had issues all the way back at the start and ended up picking himself up a meatball?
Oh, dear.
And live pictures on the right-hand side of the screen. Who is that? Luke Rosella has gone tumbling through the field because he's he's locked the brake and run down at turn 3. So remember what we saw from Tyson Broad, a handful of laps ago? Well, Luke Rosella took the other option. Mm-hmm.
And that's smart heads-up driving from Luke. We touched on exactly that. You either commit and try and make the corner. There's a fair chance that you're going to make heavy contact, or you dive up the escape road. And that looks like what he's done.
This is the replay. He's going to jump on the anchors down here, just pinch his fronts, and he was never going to make the corner. He was ahead of Dylan Rudd, so Dylan Rudd's now into 10th spot. And if he finishes where he is, he will be our 2024 champion. Unfortunately, an update on the driver of the number 19 machine, Dylan O'Shea. Internet connection issues have plagued him tonight. He has dropped out of the race server. He'll rejoin and he'll try and get back racing. But I'm going to assume it was a 50-cent part.
Yeah, there it is, baby. Yep.
Inflation, mate. It's actually 55%.
Oh, look out. Yeah. You got to feel for him, though. That's one of the things that's just out of our hands in our series. But hey, it happens to the best of us, unfortunately. So, hopefully he can get back in and, he obviously won't walk away with a win tonight, but hopefully he can salvage something from it and maybe learn a little bit for next round.
Question for you, how many parts went into the Logitech G Hub? Because if they're all 50-cent parts, I might be able to build one of my own.
Look, when you've got great support from sponsors like Logitech G, it doesn't become too stressful whatsoever. So, big things to come from the Logitech G Hub in 2025 too. We're excited about that.
I'm just waiting for the day we get a sim rig into the G Hub. That'll be the next step forward.
Well, there's already more happening, mate. I can't give away too much, but there's something new for next year. So it's going to be good.
The biggest shake-up for 2025 may not be in the drivers' market. It might be with what's going on in Sam Mann's basement, but we'll have to wait for that one to evolve.
Hey, it's all about bringing as best broadcast as we can for the Logitech G Supercars Pro Invitational, and everyone wants to improve, and that's what we're going to try and do for next year. And exciting times. You think about, we talked about Gen 3, we talked about some new tracks that are going to be on the service, #soon. And, of course, then throw in the weather as well with rain. I mean, that's what these drivers are going to have to contend with next year is weather. So, man, I mean, next year's got the makings of some absolutely unbelievable racing, and I can't wait for it to start.
I think we've sort of sat at status quo for a very, very long time, and I look at 2025 and go, there is nothing about this that screams status quo. Everything will be shaken up in 2025. The ground will be shaking from the rumbling of engines. The tyres will be shaking in their boots as we get set to release drivers, perhaps on a Gen 3 chassis, around a whole host of racetracks that evolve in character because the architecture of what they're driving has changed. And for the drivers watching along at home, 2025, don't forget, there will be a qualifying series, and that means that it's open to everyone, much in the same way that all the iRacing series is right across the globe give the opportunity for the fans at home to get in and amongst things. We are exactly the same here at the Logitech Pro Invitational. It'll start off with a qualifying phase, tends to be a lap time session or a time trial-esque session across a couple different circuits to qualify your way in, and then it is a race your way in series from there. And where it will be and what that looks like for 2025, we all await with bated breath because we don't have the answer. I can tell you, sitting here right now, none of us in this commentary box know what it looks like yet.
I'm excited. I can't wait to see it. It's going to be a ripper.
What we do know at the moment is that 19 laps have been commenced, 18 are in the books, and they're on their 19th circuit, and we are getting quite close. I believe we're just past a quarter race distance at this point in time. 75% yet still to come. And there is nothing in that battle for the top three. And I just get the feeling, as usual, Sandman, they're all just sitting there and going, you pit first, no, you pit first, no, you burn.
Yep. Well, they'll have some sort of idea in the back of their mind when they want to pit. You know, they're obviously not putting too much stress on their tyres, and you know, they'll have some sort of fuel number that they know that they need to meet as far as what lap they want to pit. So I guess they're just sort of waiting. You know, a bit surprised that we probably haven't seen a safety car yet. I guess I gambled a little bit and said there'd probably be a 100% chance of a safety car around here. We haven't seen it as yet. I guess we probably thought that at Bathurst too, and look what happened there in the real world. That we only had one safety car over 161 laps. So, you know, you just
waiting.
You never know.
Waiting to pick your brain on that. Ever since it happened, the first thought that dropped into my mind was, I wonder what Sandman thinks, and I know you'll have some thoughts.
Yeah, I'm spewing that the safety car came out because I wanted it to go caution-free. I wanted to see what I reckon Brock Feeney he probably had for Bush going into that final stint. But, you know, I guess we'll never know now.
And the other thing was that safety car effectively gave Kostecki time to adjust their car as well. I think they missed a trick, and it gave him a get-out-of-jail-free card. And they basically were at the point where they had to commit either way to adjusting their car. They either had to flip the script, come in and change something, and then run really, really long and be on old tyres at the back end of the race, or... yeah, just go, well, we're just going to see what you can do. Hold him off if you can. So interesting. It was so on a knife's edge, but one of the most interesting periods in Australian motorsport. And Formula One's gone the same way over the last few races, hasn't it, up until...
What? Oh, mate, the rise and fall of McLaren, the fall and the rise, I should say. But actually, while we've been talking about real-world motorsport, we can see that Phil Sell's made his pit stop. So he's now decided to pull the pin, and I wonder how much longer it'll be before Gilliam and Scott decide to trundle down pit lane too.
Yeah, might not be all that long, but for Jared Filsell, he rejoins in traffic, and that is going to play a big, big part in the way the rest of his night goes, because he needed to find a hole, and there was no hole on this racetrack that existed at this point in time. He literally just had to get out there and had to have an absolute crack, and well, now he's going to suffer for a little while.
Well, that's feeding his teammates just information now, because they can see where he's out. You can see that he's at the bottom of the screen, that he's in that traffic. He's managing to get past now because obviously that wasn't a true ideal race for position. Obviously there was a pit stop there involved for Jared. So he's now got that little bit of clear air. So you would imagine, as we can see, that was that Stenberg that was in the lane. So he's fired off into the lane. I don't think it'll be too much longer. You'd think that they would probably think about trying to get away with it now that Jared's got that little bit of free air. But yeah, you wouldn't want to leave it too much because you think Jared might jump him.
Take you back an hour ago at this point in time when we were talking about fuel strategies and whatnot. About 38, 39 is the longest that you can possibly go. But if you sort of wanted to split it up nice and evenly, somewhere in the 23 to 25 lap range is when you sort of wanted to come to give yourself 3 nice and even stints. Madison Down missed a trick earlier on in the year. Actually, we're going to jump to the OG Gear replay of Damien Johnson running wide. So that's a pinch. Yeah, he's done okay.
He got away with it. Yeah.
Quite well.
Yeah.
But yeah, make you think back to Jerez. Oh boy, wasn't that an interesting race to see them burning through tyres that rapidly. But Down stayed out for an incredibly long time when he was probably one of the slower drivers in the field at that point in time.
Speaking of that, he's just started off into pit lane. So Down was hearing what you were saying, and he's actually fired off into the lane, and he'll put on some Dunlop tyres now and have a fresh run on them. So as we check out his camp, you can see how busy he is. He's making a few changes there, it looks like. And pull up on his marks.
Is that not resetting bars? Is he resetting the bars before he gets into the pit stop so that he knows that they're all set, everything's good to go, sort of take a breath at the moment?
Yeah, possibly. It's hard to see what he was doing, but yeah, a lot of these teams will mess with their settings because they know now that they're going to have that full fuel load. You can see he's just looking at the times, seeing how much fuel he's got on board. Now he's got away. So see where he's come out.
Well, Jared Philsell flew through and went and set the fastest lap of the race as well.
Yeah.
So I wonder whether or not Philsell's short-filled this.
Yeah, quite possibly. Yeah, he did. So we were just hearing that he was 5 seconds less on fuel. So he's gone for that little bit of a shortcut.
And Richard Hampstead just put a call out to say that he's on his way into the lane so that he can serve his penalties well. I can tell you, Jared Philson just scraped the wall coming onto the back straight as well. So those numbers, 14.6 seconds worth of fuel plays 19.2 seconds worth of fuel, and tyres are covered by about 10 to 11 seconds worth of fuel.
You figured, and the teams in TTR, they'll be all over that because obviously they'll see that difference and they'll know that he's short-filled a little bit, so they won't be too stressed that he's that further up the road. But at the end of the day, we can see Griffin Gardner, he's in the pits, as well as Rick Kuznetsov as well. So a couple of other drivers now there decided to fire off into pit lane. And here's that replay, the OG Gear replay. Jared Philsell taking it right up against the concrete, just the littlest of kisses, but enough to keep going.
I can tell you he is cracking on because he's been up against those barriers multiple more times on this lap. He is really trying to push. Everyone's now making their decisions. Are they going to run short? Are they going to run long? You're looking for track position, or are you looking for a little bit of tyre offset at the back end of the race? How much are you willing to risk? How much are you willing to gamble? Have a look at these guys as they cut their way through. Madison Down gets up on the back of Ian Ford. Ford scrapes against the barrier. Ian Ford is yet to pit. He actually yields to Madison. Does he yield to Madison Down? Yes, he has lifted out now.
Yeah, that was smart because he knows that he still hasn't had his pit stop yet. He knows that Madison's come out of the lane, so there's no point fighting him when he's on fresh tyres. So just move over, give the position up, and he'll push on and he'll head for the lane shortly.
It'll be interesting to keep half an eye on all of that. And I was telling you that Jared Philson ran up on traffic. It was actually Dylan O'Shea who was already off the lead lap with the issues we already talked about. So he got out of the way really, really quickly, because he was sort of obliged to. It's just where as James Scott caught up to Gilliam a little bit.
Yeah, he was. He was really putting it to him. So that's when Gilliam's decided he's going to fire off into the lane too. So, yeah, I think they're probably, I guess they're wondering how that pace of Philsell, obviously there was that pit stop difference, but that'll be playing on the back of their mind as far as where he is on track. So they'll know they want to get their pit stop over and done with, and we'll be able to watch the times and see just how long his stop is for Andrew Gilliam.
Yeah, and
look at Philsell. Look at where he is now. He's already on the racetrack at pit entry.
Off the jacks. I was just having a quick look. I wondered whether or not there might have been he's just going to fly on by.
Yeah, he's got a huge margin.
Williams filling this thing. He is going to fill that tank. He's still not rolling. Madison Down's gone through on him as well.
Yeah. And he's still stationary. He's still in the lane. It's 25 seconds. It's a long stop. He's full of fuel.
He is just about chocked up fuel full. Jake Maloney's come through and got to 2.5 seconds in behind him. So that's a really interesting crack on for him. Ethan Greengold also just in behind that one. So Maloney's gone for a short stop to jump a bunch of those guys, and he also undercut. He came in, remember, end of lap 12, start of lap 13, so a long time ago for him.
I love that these guys are mixing it up. Some are going for longer stops and some are going short stops. I mean, the difference between the two teams in the Lobs stable, where you've got Jared Filsell who's going short, and then, you know, have like a, what was it, 28-second stop? Like that's just a difference that they're rolling the strategy even within the team. As we can see, James Scott is now on the line.
That's double, by the way. Gilliam stayed in the pit lane stationary for double the amount of time that his teammate did. So that is a lot of fuel that went into the 201 Mustang. Joe Stewart's in, Warboy's in. Everyone's starting to come to the lane. Dylan Rudd's going to... And I don't hate this strategy from Dylan Rudd because, I mean, he was on the back foot. He was, you know... But at the same time, there's a big old risk right now. We have seen it in years gone by whereby you don't want to be the last one to pit. And the reason you don't want to be the last one to make your first stop is should a safety car come out right now, you lose those spots. And by the way, James Scott and Andrew Gilliam are going to come out of the pit lane side by side. So Scott has managed to go the overcut. But the big question will be on how much fuel went into that car. Is he going to chase him? No, Gilliam just goes into conservation mode. So he is now backing it up. And there is a difference in the pit stop times of about 1.5 seconds. Tyres would have been a factor. Gilliam roared around to try and get the undercut to make sure he stayed ahead. And, well, the thing is now, and I'm going to... Look, they're all obviously operating on the same stable, but they've thrown strategy cards at each other. This is the first time they've done this.
Look, I think you can look at the championship and you think you would imagine that it's pretty much well wrapped up within the team. So these guys are like, you know what, let's just have some fun with this. Let's roll the strategy. Who knows how this is going to play out? It's only lap 25 of 73. So, you know, does a safety car throw a spanner in the works for these guys? Does, you know, where would you want to be? It's you know, I guess there's so many different ways it can play out with strategy. And I just love that everyone's not doing the same thing.
I mean, from a commentator, the commentator in me says, yep, I really, really like it. The driver in me goes and puts myself into Gilliam's shoes and says, was this discussed? I mean, the big thing, I think the critical thing out of all of this is what you said. The championship's going to Lobs Esports no matter what happens. It's just who it goes to, right? So... But the driver in me says, I feel a bit hard done by if I'm in Andrew Gilliam's shoes. And he's been very, very happy to stick his hand up and play the team card game. But eventually that will stop. It's just, is it this year? Is it next year?
Yeah, mate, within any team, if you're racing for a championship, no one's going to give it to you. So everyone's going to roll their strategy and try to put their best foot forward. So, you know, at the end of the day, I don't think that anyone would have been stooged as such as far as saying, all right, everyone's going to short fill on the next one, or, you know, everyone's going to long fill and then other drivers do differently. I'm sure it's just left up to each individual. They'll have some sort of idea of how it'll impact their race, but I'm sure they're all confident in their strategy. Oh, as we see a nice little dive here. Up the inside.
93 machine.
Yep, beautiful.
Yeah, job done. And that's on Jake Maloney, but Jake Maloney is on much, much older tyres. And Brenton Hobson is going to chalk up laps led. No, he's not, because Jared Filsell's going to go on by him before he even gets there.
Oh, he's missed it.
Oh, no.
That's so easy to do. You can't even give him a hard time about it. It's so easy to do. And you notice his box too. It's the very first one, or almost the second one, first or second in the lane. So he's come hot in and just missed the markers and had to back it up.
And I do wonder whether or not it was not a too far forwards, too far back. I think it might have been too far left. And he wasn't inside the bay enough.
Yeah, that's tricky. It's always difficult when you're the first box straight in the lane too.
Over the meantime, these guys are going to go toe-to-toe as well. Dylan Rudd looking to try and pick himself off a few more spots. Gets the job done on Bo Albert, and Bo Albert didn't make that one too much of an issue.
Yeah. I mean, he's in cruise control, I think, for the moment now, Dylan. He's just... he knows he's in a good position. It changes the points big time now a little bit with Andrew not... leading at this stage, so you know, he can just sort of cruise. He's got a little bit of clear air now, and that's exactly what he wants. He can just sort of run his own race for the moment.
Mate, this race got interesting. There is a lot to look at here.
Look at that.
And right now, you can sit there and say, well, hang on, Jared Filsell leads by nearly 8 seconds. Yeah, but he's got no fuel on board that car. That is going to be a lively old Holden Commodore at this point in time.
But I love that he's rolled the dice. There's nothing worse than everyone pitting on lap 24 and then going to the next one. Everyone pits again on lap 50. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's drivers out there that are saying, you know what, let's play with a bit of strategy here. They've got a bit of an understanding of how their car is, and you know, let's put on some fresh tyres, let's get some clear air, you know, let's just try something different, because, you know, this race can turn on its head in any lap. You just don't know what's going to happen. So I love that there's a number of teams that have done just something different.
There's a few more remarks Shane Van Gisbergen made at the start of the year about how would supercars racing be improved, and you know, one of them was take away mandatory fuel dumps and add in the opportunity for teams to fuel save and teams to do a little bit of things in terms of strategy cards back in the teams. Well, the benefit of sim racing is the only mandatory requirement we have here is you have to make 2 pit stops. If you take 50 litres and you can make it to the end of the race on 50 litres, good luck to you. It's not going to happen, but yeah, have a look at this battle as it continues on as well.
Oh, big slide. Oh, he kept it off the wall, but whew. Does he get away with it? They're still going to fight. No, they're going to give up there. But man, big slide just off that exit. Lucky not to make contact with the wall.
And what's the terminology you use, Sam, for Dr. Fieldwoods?
yeah, that's it.
And Andre Yusuf just on the line. Andre Yusuf's buried in the barriers and called for a tow. And we are shy of the get home mark.
Safety car, maybe. This is what teams will be doing.
He's parked on the they'll have to call it. They're
right on the racing line. We're going to OG replay. We're going to look at the live screen as well. This is what's happening. He's by himself. Gone straight ahead. Oh, he's made heavy contact. What's going on there?
Brakes not working.
Must stop. That's hardware failure. So safety car is out. This has turned things on its head. This is what some of the teams were fearing, but these drivers that have pitted early, and then there's teams that have gone a lot longer on fuel, but it had to be a safety car, and how much damage he's got to that race car. Oh, and everyone's just trying to pick their way through there.
Look at the line they have to take to get by him. And remember, just the way that our sport works, you attack this. Oh!
No, that's not right. You're passing under a yellow too, so there, that's plain work. Holy dooly. I reckon, no doubt he would have got the fright of his life seeing that car on the right on the racing line, but this is where the teams need to be in their ear and say, you know, there's a car in the middle of the racetrack, but that could have been a lot worse.
I actually like the fact that he took that alternate line, because when you're coming across an incident like that, you just look at it and you go, oh, I don't trust the guy ahead of me, so I'm just going to take a different line.
Is this our OGP replay? Is this the onboard? The speed that he's carried in, it's got to be a hardware failure.
There's no brake. There is absolutely no brake. I can't tell if he was able to downshift at all.
Yeah, that's massive. Yeah. So, Filsell's in, Downs in, James Scott, they're in, Andrew Gilliam. Looks like everyone is just coming in now to take this opportunity to pit. Ethan Griggold is as well. So, everyone is making this chance. I told you this race, there's no way that we wouldn't go safety car free in this one. And we've seen it here, and it's lap number 30. So, a number of drivers, there's a couple staying out too, but a lot of the teams and drivers have decided to fire off into pit lane.
Yeah, I'm just watching, because at the moment they're all overtaking the safety car, so the queue's just being cleared. Rick Kuznetsov is now the race leader.
Wow.
He didn't pit.
How long's it been since he's pit? Yeah. So
oh my word.
Been out there for 7 laps.
There is...
Roll the dice. Love it.
Well, okay. Get home lap, the critical lap number is lap 36. We're not there yet.
There you go. So everyone's going to have to pit at once. Everyone still needs to pit. It's lap 30. So that's what Rick has decided. He's like, you know what? If we still have to make it down pit lane again, let's stay out for a little bit. and make that critical number home. It's definitely thrown a spanner in the works. So Rick Kuznetsov, Sean McNamara, Wayne Burke and Brenton Hobson. Old Hobbo, P4.
Why not? Why not?
Love it. I absolutely love it.
But the cynic in me says chaos is coming. So, but oh boy, we are going to have some stuff to look at. I tell you what, anything can happen from here. This race just got flipped on its head because we were talking off air about safety car timings back at Bathurst and whether or not it improved the race, whether or not it took something away from the race. I mean, you can be neither here nor there. There are debates on both sides. I think this improves the race significantly.
Absolutely. Yep. There we go. Check out the numbers. So Rick Kuznetsov 22. So McNamara, Burke, and then Brenton Hobson all up 26. So yeah. Everyone still needs to make that critical fuel lap number.
Where's Dylan Rudd? He's 14. He's 12th. He's 12th at the moment.
Yeah.
He's on the outside and he's looking in. So right now, he wouldn't have champions. Somebody just fed in. Was that Brenton Hobson? Burke has fed in. There is a lot going on here. Sorry, my apologies. Wayne Burke did not feed in. It was Brenton Hobson.
Down.
Madison down came back to pit lane.
Oh, he's got damage. He's got damage to that left.
He has got damage. Righto, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to step away for just a few moments. Bear with us. We'll be back more because this race is about set to ignite. Here we go.
Weekend in, weekend out, Motorsport Australia officials are making waves. From waving flags, waving cars through pit lane, or responding to a wave for help. Wave hello to new lifelong friends. Who knows, you might just make waves around the world. Ride the first wave. Search Motorsport Australia officials today.
Welcome back, ladies and gents, as we just went side by side for just a few moments before we go back racing. Madison Down has just fed back out of the pit lane, so something's gone wrong for Madison, and we have no idea what that was. We've managed to get word directly from one of Andre Yusuf's teammates. Has just been feeding me a little bit of information in the background, and can confirm there was a massive pedal failure for him, and it sounded like something in his pedals has actually snapped, something's broken. So very, very difficult night at the office, and we're looking for more going on. At the moment, we are getting set for our safety car replay. Replay at this point in time. This is why Madison Down had damage, and it was down at turn 3, and it was avoiding the incident. So we got in hot, and there was just nowhere to go. By the way, we're about to go back racing. Rick Kuznetsov leads the way. He's going to launch it out for the final few corners. There was checking up in the field as they all tried to see what they could possibly do to cut their way through. Everyone looking for a green flag. Restart. And on the run through turn number 2. And now down through turn 3. And the drivers are doing their utmost to have an absolute crack here tonight. I can tell you, Madison Down has gone from inside the top 5 to now sits off the tail end of the field. Damage coming from that incident and just avoiding it. Jacob O'Reilly's come back out to rejoin the race and gone straight back into the pit lane, but it is going to be open season. If you thought that a race from Detroit Belle Isle wasn't going to have its moments and its dramas, you'd be absolutely wrong. Rick Kuznetsov leads the way. Sean McNamara sits P2 on the road, and we are 4 laps away from the critical lap number. So they cannot, they can make it home, but it is going to take a lot of saving to get there. Somebody will roll the dice from Detroit Belle Isle, Sandman. Any ideas who might it be to go the long run and try and make it home? And unfortunately, having a few momentary issues at this point in time, which is disappointing because this race is right about to heat up. And Jared Filsell's already starting to look to try and have a go at Wayne Burke. Feels like he might be getting held up just a little bit. He'd like to get off down the road, overtake these boys. But he is getting boxed in a little bit, and Wayne Burke is going to hold him up just a little while longer. We're right on board with the driver of the 94 machine as they exit turn number 2. The run down to turn number 3. He's got better tyres on board, but it's only by about 5 laps or so on Burke. He just can't get close enough, and they're all going to queue up to try and have a crack at these guys in behind him as well. So 1 toe out of line now for Filsell, and he is going to get absolutely railroaded.
Oh, how good is this race? Hopefully you can hear me nice and loud now, boys. But yeah, this is really shaping up. That safety car really threw a spanner in the works. I love that it's really turned this race on its head.
It has absolutely set world alight. And a line from my favourite song, is one of my favourite songs, has just come out in the YouTube chats as well. Put your hands up for Detroit, the lovely city. I think that one's a little bit after your time. That's a more recent hit, Sandman. But it continues on. Rick Kuznetsov is trying to use that fresh air to the nose to try and set sail and run off. And we're going to be coming up on our critical lap number here in just a few months. Someone somewhere is going to try and roll the dice and get this car to the finish. Who it will be and what lap times they're going to have to run to make that happen is going to be a mystery. It is going to be a mega fuel save. But there's a ton of guys in awkward positions that might just have a crack. And how good is the ride up through turn 2?
This race hasn't disappointed, has it? There's been so much that's playing out. Now we can make a move up the inside here, nice and clean. These guys giving each other a little bit of real estate. But that's what they're going to be thinking about now, is that crucial fuel number. Who decides to, do they decide to stay out and let this race play out a little bit longer? But everyone will be having that play out in the back of their mind, won't they?
Yeah, and how aggressive do you get as we watch Wayne Burke at turn 2, trying to carry the speed. Little bit of a slide out and across the crest.
A little? Wow. How cool is that?
Does somebody want to get the drifters scoreboard out? And we might see if we can't award him some points.
A bit like some of the shots that Jay pulled off at the top of the mountain for Bathurst, hey? That was cool.
It was very, very cool. And the first driver I've had words about who is going to try and make it to the end of the race, Thomas Freeman, is sitting in 29th spot at the moment. Second to last car on the lead lap, and he is just on the clutch as often as he possibly can. Why not? Why not for Thomas Freeman? He's not qualifying for 2025. Why not stick his name in and amongst it?
Absolutely. Move there with teammates, so gave each other plenty of racing room. We love to see that. So Hammer now on the move.
Yeah. And Filsell's picked one off. It's Wayne Burke now. Now it'll be James Scott's opportunity to try and have a crack at these guys, and it's sort of line yourself up, get it done as soon as possible, because Scott cannot afford to get boxed in behind Wayne Burke, and he won't be boxed in by Wayne Burke because he's got down the inside at turn number 3. So he needed to get the elbows out and has done so, and now Gilliam will get his opportunity to line up. And by the way, the championship is basically decided. If Gilliam has to win, that's his only opportunity.
Yep. It's one of those deals, isn't it? He knows what the deal is. Contact with the wall there on exit. But that's where the pressure is put on him, where he knows he has to win the race, regardless of whatever plays out for the rest of the field. So that's always a pressure cooker situation when you know you have to go out and get the win.
Yeah, well, did he make the right call on strategy? Did he come in for a little bit too much fuel earlier on? They're all going to be about on the same amount of fuel at this point in time. Just keeping an eye on things. I don't think Phil Sell filled the car.
Well, he still has to pit, doesn't he? So, you know, at the end of the day, he still needs to come down the lane. I guess he's thinking that he wants to get a little bit of clear air, hopefully start to gap this field, and then just that little bit of time that, you know, that he probably has to spend in the lane, he'll hopefully be able to gain out on track. So
well, that's what I was just looking at and just thinking. I think he's made a choice. So remember back at pit stop number 1, it was 28 seconds worth of fuel for Gilliam. It was 14 seconds or so for Phil Sell. Well, on the most recent stop, Gilliam was about 12 seconds quicker through the lane. So there's 2 seconds worth of fuel that's missing there. Some of that would have been saved for sure. Kurt Stenberg we ride on board with and get our Stenny check-in out of the way. Oh,
dude.
I don't think that that driver's door is in operation in that car anymore. He's going to have to get out the other side.
Move, here we go. Here's Phil Sell. He's on the wrong side, but if he can hang tough around the outside, he's in the marbles.
That's a risk. That's a huge risk, and now he does get his nose chopped off for good measure. And the other side of the coin is that Sean McNamara is playing rear gunner for Rick Kuznetsov at this point in time, and again, why wouldn't you?
Yeah. Well, look, Sean did nothing wrong. Jared tried to go around the outside. It was a brave move, but, you know, he thought better of it and just dialed in back behind Sean. He's obviously got pace on board, so I don't think it's a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. Jared just up against the wall there, so looking pacey here. He thinks he wants to get the move done at this turn. If we look up the inside here, no, he thinks better of it. But he's definitely got pace, so I don't think it'll be too much longer.
I just wonder whether or not there might be a few drivers up and down the field that might be trying to make the end of the race as well. Brenton Thompson was about 1.5 seconds slower. Over the last couple of laps, he's been significantly slower than the race leaders, although, you know, restart, job done now. But Phil Sell gets the job done. Now Scott's going to have a crack at Wayne Burke, because I believe Burke got that spot back. He did get that spot back. Scott now goes and picks his pockets once again, but this is going to release Phil Sell to try and see if he can set sail and run down the next guys. And the other side of the coin, again, is that McNamara will now have a tow.
Yeah. I love that these guys have rolled the dice and just done something a little bit different. Look at the gap that Rick Kuznetsov got. It's just over 2 seconds. I imagine that may close up a little bit now that Jared's got some free air, but these boys rolling the dice, and we still don't know how the rest of this race is going to play out. Lap 37 of 73.
Everything hangs in the balance for a number of these drivers. For Sean McNamara, this is his ploy to qualify for 2025, you know. So there was a lot of opportunity. There was a lot of risk. He was sitting outside. He was sitting in a position where he sort of had to do something dramatic. The opportunity came about. The doorway was left ajar. And Sean McNamara is sitting in his best position that he's had so far this season. And I'm just hearing that there might be an issue for somebody deep in the field, and Bole was caught up in it a few laps ago, and I think it's about to get resolved on our screens. So we're going to go diving through the archives, but in the meantime, James Scott pulls off the big old send on Sean McNamara. So 2 Lobs drivers now make their way past, and it's been the 2 that have been just about partners up front all season long.
I love this for McNamara, because obviously we were talking about his trying to just make the cut-off line. So coming into tonight, he was 23rd, and so he really needed to make a charge. As we check out the OG Gear replay, this is going to be Maloney, Rebecca Bowler. Does he make a move up the inside? That's where he does. He sticks it there. Makes contact. Fires hard into the fence. That was a big hit. Lucky that no one else got involved too, so that's why that drive-through penalty has been issued to Jake Maloney. So, decent hit.
It's a huge hit. But Calamity never far away on the streets of Detroit Belle Isle.
Now going back to McNamara, like I said, he's what he wants to do. He wants to achieve inside the top 20. So this could be a good points night He may not take the win away, but if he can get himself maybe a top 10 or a top 15 finish, that does him a world of good in the points as far as trying to make that 20 cut-off line.
And he fancies his chances around one of his better tracks, and his qualifying performance has certainly shared that he does have reasonable pace around here, but McNamara, is he now going to become a cork in this bottle? Because Wayne Burke is also starting to crawl all over him now as well.
Oh, Burke's made hard contact with that wall too. Geez, these boys don't mind bouncing off the concrete, do they?
They are really pushing themselves hard. So, 35 laps down to go. We are past the halfway mark from this race. We are beyond 140 kilometres worth of race distance. We're probably beyond 150 kilometres worth of race distance. Bring it down to the inside. Gilliam has to get out there and has to start getting aggressive. He does so. Nearly creates drama for Greek Gold in the background, but they all survive for another couple of kilometres. But Gilliam had to do that and had to do it soon. He could just sense his race was slipping away. What you're seeing now is desperation from these guys, because the longer that this ekes out, the more opportunity goes the way of the guys that are sort of just sitting there and lurking.
Yeah, and what happens with Gillian too is that he's looking out his windscreen and he can see his teammates that are just starting to disappear. They've made those passes on the racetrack and they're starting to go up the racetrack and disappear on him. So he needs to get those positions done. So I guess it does put a little bit more pressure on him, where he knows he needs to get the job done and can't afford to stick around there too much. So as long as he doesn't do anything silly, but man, I thought there was going to be some contact between Ethan Grigalt and Wayne Burke. That was lucky that wasn't a lot worse.
And Blake Warboys will now line up in behind Griffin Gardner, and they will arrive at the checkout queue. The most wanted item, and I believe it's on special today, an overtake on Wayne Burke. I just can't believe... Again, what I said back at Bathurst, boy, we've had a weird year. Like, just every single time something dramatic could happen. I like racing because you can't write scripts, but a lot of the time the scripts tend to be fairly boring. You know, bog standard race is not a huge deal happens. I can't recall a round in 2024 where we've had that at all.
Well, you think about our whole season, you know, we touched on the fact that, Phil Sell had to race his way into the season this year. And how dominant he was in the qualifying series. We kind of expected him to run away with the championship. Had an absolute shocker for the start of the season. Made his way, clawed himself back up to the front. Bathurst bites him, takes him out of contention. I mean, there's been so many times where we've tried to predict, whether it be the series champion or even a Bathurst champion. There was contact there on the wall as we watched that. Yeah, Jared Filsell was going to team up with Brody Kostecki, and then everyone online was saying, well, there's a Bathurst win for those two. That didn't end up being the case. He didn't get to drive with Kostecki, and then who would have picked Jared Filsell would blow a motor at Bathurst? I mean, there's been so many different ups and downs throughout this series, and that's why we tune in each and every round, because you just don't know what's going to happen.
And it's really, really difficult, because if you have a look at both James Scott and Jared Filsell's year, well, yeah, everything unwound all the way back at Sebring, but other than that, they've ran just about the perfect year. It's actually the co-drivers out of both of those cars at the Enduros that blew motors. It wasn't them, it was the co-drivers.
Yeah, and look, and not to take it out on the co-drivers too, we noticed that with a number of teams and drivers throughout, even at Sandown as well, we were seeing blown motors. So it's just one of those things, isn't it? That's what keeps us racing, because it's that unpredictability of racing that we all love.
Anything can and often will happen. Well, the queue is growing longer now, and the queue is for Andrew Gilliam to try and get his way past Sean McNamara, and he is right up and in behind him. And guess what? James Scott's just skipped off down the road on him. There's nothing he can do. He's just forced to sit here and wait. He's forced to nearly get into the back of Sean McNamara as he just searches for him. And that is going to take away his opportunity to get down the inside down here as well.
Yeah, that's not what he doesn't. He doesn't need to do that, because if he finds himself with a penalty, then he could just kiss any chance of what he could have on having a crack at this championship goodbye. So maybe he's getting a little bit frustrated. He's getting right to the bumper there, but the last thing he needs is contact and any involvement with the race stewards.
So another number, and we talk in a game of numbers for a world that's written by what you can do with a steering wheel and a set of pedals. It is written in terms of your championship numbers. 75% race distance is the big one as Andrew Gilliam finally gets that run. McNamara covers the right-hand side of the road. He's forced Jared Filsell to go this side a couple laps ago. This time he'll just feed back in. He recognised that there was no point in trying to hang on to that one around the outside. Calamity was only ever going to ensue. Now Wayne Burke has got Ethan Greek-Gold right there and ready to have a crack. We didn't see the Brady Myers move. The pull the trigger down the inside down at turn number 11. So the opportunity didn't open itself up. Greek-Gold, you might want to get your credit card ready because it's your turn at the checkout.
I think the one thing that was playing in Gilliam's mind too is that he needed to get that job done on Sean McNamara because he knows that Dylan Rudd's back there in 10th place. So he doesn't have that buffer over him that he needs to. You know, we touched on that all Dylan Rudd needs to do is finish inside the top 10. Well, for the moment he's doing that. But Andrew Gilliam back in 4th, he's still, 4.5 seconds away from the leaders at this stage. So still got his work cut out for him with 31 laps to go.
And I can tell you the big number, ladies and gentlemen, that we need to talk about tonight is race distance. 75% race distance is enough to eliminate 3rd, 4th and 5th in the championship from the fight. That's all Dylan Rudd needs to do to put enough points on the table to effectively make it a 2-horse race. And that comes up at the end of lap number 55. We're currently on lap 43, so we're 12 laps away from it being a 2-horse championship race. But this is Detroit Belle Isle, this is the Logitech Pro Invitational, and do not count your chickens because they are yet to hatch.
That's it. It's funny, it's one of those terms, isn't it, where it's, mathematically we know there's a number of drivers that can make it, but as this race goes on, exactly what you touched on, that list was going to get shorter and shorter, but don't take anything away from Dylan Rudd. He's had a cracker season, and, he'd be really enjoying it at the moment, knowing that 31 laps, or as we come to the line, it'd be 30 laps to go. These guys know that this race is slowly starting to get away, and to be in a position where he's just sort of riding around and letting these laps tick off.
I've got an update for you. Matt Bowler is parked up
in the wall.
And that is coming onto the back straight. That is coming onto the back straight. So these guys are going to have to drive their way around this.
Yep.
There's a few drivers, I think, already thinking about diving into the pit lane.
Yeah, this is a free kick.
Right. Whoa. This is right on the racing line at turn 6.
Yeah, that's
and it's blind. This is a blind corner. These guys are going to have to...
The teams really need to be in their ear to say, watch out.
Well, race control just get called out.
Right there,
We just watch. We're just going to have to get a camera. Can we get a camera that just points at Matthew Bowler for the next 5 minutes? Because right now... It's just, can we hope and pray that they all make it through there? Yep. Oh, there we go! It's Kurt Stenberg.
Stenberg.
Well, it's no longer a problem.
Yeah, this is where the team really needs to be. The guys are carrying so much speed around that part of the racetrack too. I know this is our virtual world, but at the end of the day, it's a yellow flag. They really need to be sort of slowing down a little bit, but the teams really should have been in the driver's ears just to say that there was a car parked right back on the racing line. We're hearing that Brady Myers might have made contact as well.
And so just keep your eyes on this one. You're going to see Brady Myers come through.
Oh, bang! Just clipped him. So another car out of the TTR stable, and then Stenberg. Bang! He was locked up, but absolutely nowhere to go.
Well, they're all in. They are all in. Bo Albert managed to cut his way through. He pitted before that safety car was called, but the benefit for him was that he's an Evolution Racing team. He would have known that was coming, and they would have been communicating, saying, hey, this car's going to be rescued from the position it's in. Albert is going to try and cut his way through. Where does he pop back out? He grabs the spots.
Oh, I'll leave that to race control.
Yep, we're going to have to leave. So order, shall we say order is provisional?
Provisional. Let's just say that for now. Wow. Again, another turn for this race. Inside 30 laps to go. The penultimate round of the 2024 Logitech G Pro Invitational Series. Belle has turned it on for us, hasn't it? We said that this racetrack, there's... Oh,
Hey, hang
how's
on.
everyone checking up down the back there?
Hang on.
Hobbo?
Hobbo, what have you done?
I think he's our genuine race leader.
Luke Rosella might have just had contact. Luke Rosella might be in this one, and Hobbo is going to lead the way. He is made... So there are a couple of things that you need to know about this one. So I have seen questions out the chat. So for all of the Australian viewers that are sitting here and watching this and watching what's going on, and see that yellow light flashing on the rear end of his car, he's shutting it off to save fuel. That is a car that is switched off because he is saving every skerrick that's available to him. And with this safety car, he mightn't have enough fuel.
He pitted for the last safety car, didn't he? He like dived in at the last moment. So yeah, so 14 laps to go we're hearing. So, geez, he's going to be very close on fuel. The problem is when you've got to save fuel to the end, is how fast can you go at the end when you're trying to save fuel?
So we are getting strategies sort of coming out. So you can just see that the safety cars on lap 29 and lap 44 sort of explains that story. Oh boy. Oh, Hobbo. What a risk. He's not going to win the race from here.
No, you think he's going to have to save a little bit of fuel to get home, and where Phil Sell, James Scott, Gilliam, they're all going to be able to go full throttle and be real aggressive. It's going to be interesting.
And position gain, Brenton Hobson leads the way for now. Again, all of this provisional. So points are coming our way because, oh boy. So.
Oh, wow. I've just had a look at the live points for our cutoff. And Brenton Hobson, the way it stands at the moment, is inside the top 20. 20th,
So-
just in front of Jake Maloney.
I'm going to have to go out, I'm going to have to contact him and apologise this week. And I hate apologising. And because I said to him in our chats the other night, we were looking at a whole bunch of things. And I said, by my math, I think he's done. I just don't think he can get back in. Well, he's in.
Yeah, and look, yeah, where he's at, he knows he's not going to win the race, but he's just chasing points, and that's all he needs to do. Still got the car shut off. You can see that flashing light. Saving as much fuel as he can. I love it. I love it. He hasn't just rolled over. He's really having a red hot crack here.
And I think they just said we're going green flag at the end of this lap, so that engine is still shut off.
He's got a little bit of damage to that left front too.
You thought we had fireworks before, they're back.
Good on him.
Oh.
Well done, Hobbo.
Okay,
Love
so
it.
what I was going to say, so we did see a couple of question marks about what's going on out here. All of our Australian audiences would know about this process and how it all works. Is that we run a manual safety car over here, and the reason for that is to create ourselves an active safety car procedure. It gives us a little bit of spice. And Supercars Racing Australia has funky fuel strategies. We get a lot of opportunities to, really do some fun things with that, and the manually driven safety car does that. The other thing is, we don't let the cars tow immediately, and the reason for that is to try and create another sense of realism, and it also bring the safety car out. What it does do is it creates a little bit of procedural drama, but that matches with the real world. You've got to know what a safety car procedure looks like. You've got to follow an ops manual to run a racing event, so it adds a little bit to that as well.
Well, if a race car crashed us in a real life race and is stuck on the racing line, it can't just automatically disappear in the real world, can it? It needs to be towed away. So.
It's so good. Watch the RPM, because Hobbo is saving as much fuel as he possibly can right here. He's been told by race control he must maintain around 80 kilometers an hour, which is safety car speed. So he's got a little bit of leeway on that, and he's tight on that leeway right there. But he's got to try and maintain speed. So at the moment, safety car has just returned to the pit lane, which means that any time once he receives that call, all the way up to the start-finish line he can go. Cannot overlap on the car ahead until after the apex of the final corner, and you're going to see some games here because Jared Filsell would like to get clear and like to disappear down the road. He has the, air quote, shall we say, not effective race lead, but he should get the race win from here. And Hobo waited till the last possible moment, saved every little bit of fuel that he possibly could, and now he's going to launch them off. Race laps led for Brenton Hobson in the Logitech Pro Invitational, just ticked up by about 4.
Got himself a good start. He knows that Jared Filsell's probably going to pick him off fairly shortly. It'd be really interesting to know just how much fuel, how close he is on that number. Rolling the dice, and that's what I love to see. That's what he's doing with 27 laps to go here at Belle.
But do you start to fuel save early here, or do you leave it until later and just sort of get through this phase of the race? Oh, there's more drama, and that's Scott Gamble. It's in the fence right down the back end. That was, I think, Myers cutting through the shot, because those two were quite close together out on track, and now there's a little bit of overlap. Hobson's going to move it to the driver's right. He is going to try and hang on to this spot. Some side draft kicked in. They're still side by side as they run down to the tail end of the back straight. Filsell's gone around the outside. Change for the race lead. Brenton Hobson will not lead another lap under green flag conditions, but he still sits in second on the road, and now he says to everyone in the rearview mirror, all right, boys, here's the challenge. I'm sitting here. Come and get me.
Yeah, and the way this is played out and the pace that Jared's had for tonight and, well, pretty much all year, I don't see anyone trying to stop Jared now. He's got that little bit of clear air. He knows he's got Brenton behind him. You can check out the OG Gear replay. Let's see what happens here. Anderson has just tried to make the corner. Oh, and there's that contact. Oh. Another car off the grass sideways up further underneath the bridge too. So there was a couple of other cars that were involved in that as well.
And the streets of Detroit Belle Isle are far more invigorating, far more alive with the sounds of V8 supercars engines on the run down at turn number 3. Who's going to have a crack? They line them up. Gilliam is getting racy with teammates here, and James Scott wants a way on by. He feels like he can see his race win disappearing as Filsell tries to skip clear down the road, but he cannot wrap out a tune on the rear end of the 088. The 88. It's 88 plays 088.
Yeah, Brenton's doing everything right. Looks like he's a bit of a sitting duck here, though. Yeah. So looks like Scott's got the job done. We're hearing there was a drive-through for Richard Hampstead.
Contact on the safety car was the term I heard that was associated with that one. So we'll wait for clarification a little bit more on this one. This is Madison Down. Remember, had damage, went to the tail end of the field. And there's going to be more going on.
Oh, this is... Oh, he's made contact with... Oh, he was the one that went into the fence. Oh, I said there was a car that was sideways on the grass, and that was down. So, his night's just gone from bad to worse. And he may get a penalty as well.
Has lost another spot, so moves back to third spot. There was an overtake done down at the tail end of the back straight away. James Scott got to his inside. But now Andrew Gilliam's going to line him up. He is the next driver to be in contention to try and have a crack. Move his way back on the podium. They're all scrambling everywhere, and here comes Ethan Greek-Gold. Will fancy his opportunity to try and squeak on the podium. He's had one this season. He made contact. They rub pedals. Greek-Gold's in deep. And Gilliam's going to try and come back around on the outside. This is tight. This is tricky stuff. And Gilliam put it on pole. He led the opening stint, and now he hasn't even got a toe on the podium.
Oh, one of Lob's cars was fired hard off into the fence.
Don't tell me. Please don't. Oh, I was about to say, my heart went in my mouth because I went, don't tell me that's Dylan Rudd, because that would change the championship scenario quite massively. It wasn't. Rosella goes tumbling through the order. He will want to screw up 2024 and throw it in the bin. All but the Enduro Series rounds. He loves those rounds. Can we decide the championship based on those?
He hopes so. How good's that move from Ethan Greek-Gold? Looking really pacey. He wants to get the job done on Brenton because he knows he can see James Scott and Jared Filsell just disappearing up in front of him. So looking very pacey. That was a really cool move. Oh, contact almost in the back of Hobson.
Hobson is defending because Greek-Gold's going to try and go around the outside down. He gets it done on the outside.
Wow.
No, you don't. No, you don't. That's absurd. That is utterly absurd. And Greg Galt moves his way into third spot. Didn't have a supreme amount of pace. Wasn't high up in terms of qualifying orders, but he has put the strategy together tonight.
Yeah, that was that was a great move. We're going to go and check out an OG Gear replay. This is for Hampstead. So this is, they checked up and he got into the back of his teammate in Anderson.
No, that was Brady Myers, was it? No, it was Anderson. You're right.
Yeah. So, yeah, he's got a penalty for that.
I reckon there's more in that. And Ian Ford's gone down the escape road down at turn 3. I don't think it's for the contact on Anderson. I think it's maybe for contact further up. There's 3 or 4 cars maybe further up in front of him, and he's just made front to rear contact.
Anyway, that's why I'm not an official.
So there's more in that shot that we can't see because you wouldn't penalise what we saw. So there was a lot of blind spot stuff going on there where cars were just in the way, you couldn't see anything. Gilliam has finally got clear of Brenton Hobson, and now he sets his eyes on Ethan Greek-Gold. And I think that is going to be a supreme battle for the podium because both of these guys are quick around here on the long run. Have been over the last couple of seasons, and 2024 will be another one of those races. Hobson's still inside the top 5. He's got 23 more laps left to run to stay inside the top 5. I don't think he's going to stay inside the top 5, but it will be a top 10, I think.
Ethan Garner trying to get the job done here.
Mate, could you imagine if somebody else rolled the dice and stayed out? If there were 3 or 4 cars that stayed out, he'd be still at the pointy end of things. Job Stewart's going to try and get down the inside, as is Griffin Gardner. So they're going to run off of turn 3, side by side. Hobson got the nose back ahead. This one is really difficult to run around the outside. Stewart's trying to cut through. Move Team CERT, trying to find some pace. Gardner gets the job done. Now it is going to become a little bit of a parking lot. Oh, boy.
Oh, they managed to get away with it. Hobo still trying to hang tough on the outside. Geez, they did a good job to get through there. They survived. They survived. Oh, just wait for him to get through. Oh, contact back there. Bouncing off onto the tyres underneath the bridge. It is a parking lot. The track is jammed. This is going to bring out another safety car. Just concertina effect. More cars in. Bang, just driving into each other. Nowhere to go.
Huge caution. The track is jammed. The track is absolutely blocked. There'll be a safety car here for sure. They're all still trying to clear it. Who can get out of there? Who's got the ability to? And they're still all sitting on. This is 17th spot and back.
Wow. Is everyone going to get away? I can't believe everyone's going to get away with it.
And there'll be no safety car. Everyone out the other side.
Brenton Hobson was involved, and that has just made his night go from bad to worse.
Yeah, that is. I'm gonna give him a new nickname. It's Brenton Heartbreak Kid Hobson.
Wow. So it must have been him that fired off into the tyre barrier and then just bounced out in front of the rest of the field. But
Rattray White's into the lane. He's inside the top 20. Kuznetsov.
There's a number of cars.
Well, down was back at this.
There's a couple of cars in the lane. Wow.
There's so much to unpack in this. So much to unpack in this. Phil Sells just sits out here and looks at his rearview mirror and just James Scott's 2 seconds back up there. He's got no idea what just happened. None of these.
Wow. Oh,
you're kidding, aren't you? You've got to be kidding.
Mate, that carnage, and that was just a chain reaction, unfortunately. I think Hobbo just maybe bounced off those tyres, came into the front, or came back into the path of all those other cars. And that's heart and mouth stuff. And tell you what, Dylan Rudd would have been interesting to see from his point of view, because no doubt that it would have been close for him. Here we go. So I'm sure this is where I saw Hobson. There's a dive back there. He runs in deep, bounces off onto the tyres, and here, look at that. Just a chain reaction. And the car's coming around the corner. They got nowhere to go. They're blindsided. It's just nose to tail, and the hits just keep on coming. So that's crazy. And we're so lucky that we didn't get a safety car in that as well. So thankfully, with 21 laps to go, it's still green, but plenty of action back there. A lot of cars had to head into the lane to get some repairs as we go on board with O'Shea. A dive up the inside here. And look at this, absolutely nowhere to go. He's got nowhere. He just has to stop. And then you can see, look at the cars just bouncing off each other. Everyone's just trying to pluck a gear, a car off into the grass. Everyone's just trying to find a gear and get going again. Unbelievable. I'm hearing there's some drive-through penalties as well for some drivers, and a number of teams had to head down pit lane as well just to get some damage sorted. That's the last thing a lot of these teams needed, but thankfully it hasn't affected our championship leaders. Whew. And I'll tell you what, and that's one of the things that these teams worry about is when they get back in the pack of it and they have to concede or worry that they could be involved in someone else's incident. And you can see how tight and twisty it is on this racetrack, how easy it is to be involved in someone else's incident. Nose to tail action here, and this part here, it's very much single file, though we've seen a number of times a dive up the inside here. Oh, he thought about it, Anderson. And now he's managed to get the crisscross. Looks like he's got the power down. Is he going to be able to hold that move up the inside? A little bit of give and take between these two. Oh, it's got close, almost bouncing off the concrete there. Still a little bit of contact, and they're still going to go on with it. Now it's almost going to be through wide. That's the last thing these guys need. Woo, 20 laps to go, the penultimate round of the Logitech G's Pro Invitational Series for 2024. Belle Isle, this place has not disappointed. We've seen a little bit of everything. Good, hard racing. These boys are not giving an inch. And looks like Anderson may get the job done here at the moment, up the inside. And this corner has really been tricky for everyone today. We've seen a number of people, almost into the tyres. I was just going to say there's been a number of drivers that have made contact with that inside tyre barrier, and we almost saw it again. It's catch-22. Do you try and make the corner if you overcommit, or do you fire up the escape road? And if you leave it too late, you're going to be straight into the tyres. So thankfully he's managed to get away with that. But boy, oh boy, close stuff. But Jared Fieldcell, he's opened up that margin 2.1 seconds now over his teammate and James Scott. The battle packs throughout this field. Very much line astern for these guys. What could have been for so many of these drivers? This is just what happens, the unpredictability of racing and people rolling the dice with strategy. And this place is relentless. And we think about, I touched on it a little bit earlier that I guess this is kind of our Adelaide Street Circuit for the moment. Excitement throughout our series that we're going to have the Adelaide Street Circuit on the calendar sometime soon. That looks like that's going to get scanned in the next couple of weeks, and that's really exciting to have that part of our series. But for the moment, Belle Isle is kind of, it's that aggression that we've got in our championship, the Concrete Canyon. And these guys have really had to battle it tough throughout here. 72 laps too. Take that into consideration. We've already gone through our endurance season, and these guys have got their work cut out for them around here. We knew that 72 laps around here was going to be tough. I called it at the start of the race that we would see a safety car. It was almost guaranteed, and that's exactly what we've seen. But man, some big accidents. It's really insane.
It is indeed. I tell you what, talking about accidents, I've had a puppy-headed accident in my place, which is why I've had to step away for a few moments.
Oh boy. Need a safety car.
I did need a safety car at that point in time. Well, I tell you what, and it was right as it all kicked off as well. My word, and it kicked. Mate, you've got 50-cent parts, and I'm over here going, can I double the wages of whoever keeps writing the script for this thing?
But that's the beauty of Belle Isle, isn't it? Like, this racetrack has really brought. I said it feels like it's our Concrete Canyon of the Adelaide Street Circuit. It's got different, it's got a little bit of undulation. You can see a little bit of rise in it. The bumps are crucial in this place, and the different, the tarmac switching to the concrete. There's so many variables in this racetrack, and it really does provide some excitement.
Can we get the bubble points back up again? At this point in time,
well, we touched on that Hobson was in it.
Yeah. So there is a tie for 20th place. Zach Rattray White gets his nose back in it, and Hobson goes from being inside the bubble to gone. Yeah. He had to roll the dice. He certainly had to roll the dice. Ian Ford's in, Bo Albert's in at the moment, Jake Maloney and Rattray White, 1396. Sean McNamara was looking like he was an outside shot, and if he rolls through like he does at the moment, he rolls into Spa going, hey, I'm still a really, really red-hot shot. That's an automatic Karen drive for 2025. And Brenton Hobson back to 24th at this point in time, and 108 points for Zach Rattray White. By the way, we just checked off a big, big important milestone. We are now past the 75% race distance, which means effectively it is a 2-horse race. And Gilliam, Rudd's well inside the 10, and he is 10, 15 seconds inside the 10. Effectively, for Dylan Rudd to not win this championship now after tonight, he has got to put the car on the fence.
Yeah. And look, and you know, you think about how his season's been. You can't see it happening. We don't want to jinx on the 50-cent part for him dropping out, but he's had a great season, and for him to be in a position where he's at, he knows there's now zero pressure on him from behind. He's got one car in front of him.
Job Stewart!
Oh,
Job
bang.
Stewart just put in the fence, right in front of him.
I was saying his heart rate would have just gone through the roof then, just seeing that he could have been involved in an incident, saying that there was no pressure, but what he needs to do is just dodge incidents like that, and hopefully, in 17 laps' time, he could be crowned our 2024 champion.
He's not done yet. Far out. It just continues to just get weirder and weirder and weirder. Josh Anderson, Kurt Stenberg, teammates at TCR.
Fired each other into the fence! Oh, and he's giving him a clip as well! Oh, that won't go down too well in the TTR debrief, I tell you. Teammates. Not ideal at all.
Oh, they have had a season to forget at TCR. Oh, my. Just... What's going on? What is this field?
Well, they broke the golden rule.
Can we get in touch with catering? Somebody just fed these guys red cordial, I swear.
Yeah, we haven't been short on action throughout the whole year, especially today as we check out an OG Gear replay. Let's see what's happening here. A dive up the move, up the inside here. Oh, contact! Oh, bang! That's Rosella getting tagged and nosed into the wall. That's a bit of a concertina effect there, but man, that was heart and mouth turf, because you freaked out a little bit, didn't you? You thought it might have been Dylan Rudd that got turned around, and can you imagine if that had been the case?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you were. Oh. It's just been the case that I think we said it at one point last year that you don't want to lead the championship because all of a sudden drama just happens to you. Yeah. But it's been about the same. You just look up and down the field and you go, how? How is some of the weird stuff continue to happen?
And I love that it's gone down to the penultimate round too. Obviously, you know, it would have been great to see it go right down to the last race, but you know, it wasn't sewn up after Bathurst. There were so many things that played out. You know, we touched on the bad luck that Jared Fieldcell had, you know, going into Bathurst, or leaving Bathurst, I should say, having that motor issue, and that took him right out of contention. But so many stories of woulda, coulda, shoulda throughout 2024 for so many drivers, but at the moment, Dylan Rudd's like, can we just get 15 more laps under our belt and just put this behind us?
So I'm just going to walk you through the list of retirements from tonight's race. Remember back at the start, we had 35 drivers, right? We had 35 cars take to the grid for this one. Andre Youssef, we saw the pedals just self-combust for him. Matthew Bowler's had issues. His race is now done. Scott Gamble is done. Richard Hampstead is still in the server, but is 10 laps down. He's not yet made minimum race distance, by the way. He is 7 laps away, so he's got to try and get back out and get 7 laps in the next 15. So he's effectively got 8 laps to get back out there. Hayden Veld is in the pit lane and basically done. Rick Kuznetsov is 3 laps down. Will finish, will get points at this point in time. Tyson Brewer 2 laps down. Jacob O'Reilly 1 lap down. Brent Hobson 1 lap down. Quite on at the moment as Ian Ford and Thomas Freeman are going to try and...
No way! He's in the fence!
Nudge.
Yep.
Oh!
How lucky was Anderson not to get involved.
And so Wayne Burke is the biggest mover of the night at the moment, and that's going to take some stopping because Brady Myers, it's 31st to 7th. Brady Myers has gone 34 to 16. It's just...
Yeah.
I need a holiday to recover from this one. Good thing I've got one scheduled.
Just issues there with Anderson. Yeah, Anderson's struggling with internet connection issues, but we'll check out this battle with Wayne Burke. Joe Stewart, he's right there.
Didn't we see Dylan O'Shea turned around and facing the wrong direction at one point and going tumbling back down through the field?
Mate, there's been so many people, yeah, and he was one of them.
He's back to 18th.
Wow.
So he's doing a really, really good. Jake, he's had a drive-through and he sits 18.
Tell you, if you're going to have a shocker, it's not a bad result, is it, when you consider everything that he's gone through to still be in P18. And the race isn't over yet. There could just still be more drama unfold and he could poach another couple of more spots.
What is 2024? I mean, we had it. Are we getting the second coming of COVID? Because it's just been wild. There is COVID in my household at the moment, so yeah, that's going around. Well, in the meantime, Stewart continues to close in on Wayne Burke. And I think Dylan Rudd's enjoying the fact that this is 6 seconds in the rear view mirror. He's 5 seconds up the road to teammate Griffin Gardner. So he's going to get very, very early warning before anything necessarily happens. So
this great onboard camera here of Job Stewart. You can just see how he's hustling the car and what he has to deal with, where he needs to pick his line. Very much single file here for the moment. Oh, look at him. He might even touch the wall there, but you can see it's no easy task. Look at him just soaring on the wheel. The bumps in this racetrack and what he's got to do to try and set himself up. This is a battle for 8th, and Job is just right there, all the back of Wayne Burke, just trying to find his best opportunity. It's really tough through this part, very much single file through here. But it's almost braille stuff almost to the back of him just to see if he can get the job done.
Okay, never mind. I was about to say Ian Ford just jumped on the radio and I was wondering, oh no, is something happening to Ian Ford yet again here tonight? But just talking about the issues for Josh Anderson as they continue to get worse, not better, unfortunately. Sandman, you've worked with me long enough to know now there is very, very few occasions that I'm out of words, and my parents will tell you that, and they've been that way since I was about 5 or 6. I'm out of words. I am well and truly. I'm done. This you cannot see. We've said everything, but Joe has got one more stamp to put on 2024 before it's done. Reminder: there is still one more round to come after Detroit Belle Isle. We are headed to Spa-Francorchamps to celebrate the end of the season and bring ourselves to a conclusion. And Job Stewart's feeling a lot better after that one. And that, for those of you watching along on home, date-wise, will be coming on November the 13th. So you only have 3 more weeks to wait to conclude our 2025 season.
We crowned a new series champion as well. So it'll be a first-time championship for Dylan Rudd in the Logitech G Pro Invitational Series. So we go to an OG Gear replay. Anderson, fired into the fence. That was hard contact. And we're hearing he might have got a meatball flag for that possibly. So, man, that was heavy contact. Locked a brake and made hard contact into the wall.
Whatever happened to Kurt Stenberg, he's actually been disqualified from the set. I wonder whether or not he went backwards. And Richard Hampstead has still got a penalty. Okay, so yeah, meatball flag effectively, is what we're hearing from Stenberg. So meatball meaning you have a damaged car to the point whereby they say it's unsafe for driving any further. You've got 3 laps to come into the pit lane and get it repaired, and Stenberg went beyond that marker.
Well, I don't think too much is going to change up front. Jared Fieldstell, that little bit of clear air that he's now got that margin over the teammate James Scott out to 3 seconds. So Andrew Gilliam in third, but these guys aren't messing about too. This is a good little battle here. Job Stewart got the job done on Wayne Burke, but Wayne's saying, you know what, I'm not going to just roll over that easy. I might think about having a crack back up the inside, possibly.
That is not taking this one lying down by any stretch of the imagination. Here he comes. He is going to try and go the long way around as he get to the tail end of the back straight. And don't forget, Wayne Burke was one of those drivers that went off sequence on the strategy a little bit earlier on, so played its way out for the Synergy Sim Racing driver quite well, all things considered.
Just Job just getting on the power, just getting a little bit sideways on exit. Because although he got the job done, he's not able to pull away from Wayne. So I love it. I love the battle. Look at him. He's still hanging right in there. He's just trying to set him up. He wants to get close enough where he can probably get a dive up the inside. So he's just there putting enough pressure there on Job Stewart. And if he makes just that little bit of a mistake or has a little wiggle, Wayne will have that opportunity to possibly get the move back on him.
And both of these guys too, Job Stewart being a race car driver as his occupation, and Wayne Burke as a race car engineer. And what is the reason that he likes to go racing? Well, he's a big racing fan, and for Wayne Burke has actually won the Bathurst 12-hour as a mechanic on one of the pit stop crews. I'll tell you what year. That's as far back as my information sort of extends. But yeah,
that's cool. It's really cool to think about. How much racing, like real world racing pedigree we've got in our series, whether it be drivers in the main game or we've got engineers in the main game, and so many people with different racing backgrounds. It's really cool, and something we might touch on possibly in the next episode. But yeah, I think we're spoiled and surprised about the talent that we've got throughout our Logitech G Pro Invitational Series.
It's just the number of skills over the number of years, and it's the big thing, isn't it? It's just we are blessed to do what we do because not you and I, obviously. Are we blessed? I don't know. I'm going to sit down with the other one.
Thought about blessed. Yeah. No talent coming from here, I tell you.
But in the meantime, for what's been a year of highs and a year of lows for Jared Fieldstell, DNFs are the biggest thing that has obstructed his season. He leads us towards the back end of the race. The horticulturist from Adelaide is inside the final 10 laps and puts yet another stamp of authority on their series. And I tell you what, it's the DNFs. They are the big difference, aren't they?
Well, Bathurst, just at the last round. Think about that. There we go, OGG replay. Oh, not much room for these guys.
Oh, nothing at all.
Are you kidding me? They got away with it. I thought these two were going to be eating hospital food after that one, but they managed to get away with it.
Yet again, Bo Albert, albeit, you remember back at the start of the night we said about Bo Albert, he wasn't comfortable around here. He really doesn't like the track, not feeling all that quick, not feeling all that great. He's only just outside the top 10. And he's not too far back from Adam Briggs with an opportunity to try and hunt him down. He's making a little bit of time from time to time.
If you're having a bad night and you're just outside the top 10, that's not too bad, is it? I'll take that every day.
Not at all.
So 8 laps to go, and I've really enjoyed this race. I knew we were probably in for something special, as this track can be a little bit tricky, and when you're talking about 72 laps around this racetrack, the bumps, the undulation, how close the racing is, There's a move up the inside. I mean, it's really had a little bit of everything, and it's really turned it on. It's been a great addition to our series and mixed things up a little bit. But boy, oh boy, it could have been a different story. You know, you were touching on about DNFs, and Jared certainly had his fair share of dramas throughout the season, but Bathurst was the nail in the coffin. And I tell you what, it'd be a different story if Bathurst hadn't have gone the way it had of for Jared. Being that he's leading tonight, it could have been an absolutely different story.
Going digging through the information that I have on standby sometimes, and you know, back at the start of the year, we asked our drivers, you know, what is your target? What is your goal for 2024? What would you like to achieve? And all Dylan Rudd said was, I just want to win some races. You know, I don't actually think he has done that across the duration. He's been quick, he's been consistent, he's been there every step of the way. But at no stage has he actually put a step of authority. He's never actually won the race. He's been on the podium. He's been there, and he's been thereabouts. But for a driver who is a two-time state karting champion, for a driver that likes to chill out by doing some roll racing and some water skiing, 2024 has been the year he won the sim racing lottery. And now all that stands between him and championship glory is a mistake-free 7 laps. He doesn't have to set the world alight. He doesn't have to turn qualifying laps. He doesn't even have to be all that quick. He's got 4 spots he can lose. And the championship will be his to sit back, relish and enjoy. And then Spa becomes just that. Spa Resort, a champagne weekend where he gets to celebrate as the 2024 champion. And back in 2022, one of his teammates drove into this race and became champion-elect with a round to spare as well, and that was Jared Filsell back then. So we've got some history. This team are doing it.
Yeah, and to have that and to go into a round where you're already crowned as a series champion, that just releases the pressure off his shoulders, and he just really will get to take Spa in. I mean, you know, it hasn't happened yet, but he's 6 laps away. He's doing everything right, and the bit that he's loving at the moment, there's no pressure in front, there's no pressure from behind. He knows he's got plenty of fuel to go the race distance. He doesn't need to put in qualifiers, he just needs to bring it home. So it's all about just hitting his marks, stay composed, and yeah, he'll be tasting championship champagne at the end of it come 6 laps time.
His ex-team boss heard about the opportunity he had to go and race with Loves Esports. That would be Sean McNamara, and Sean said, mate, you've got to take it. You've got to go be there, and I will be celebrating every step of the way along with you. They talk about him in just the way that he goes about his business, the way he's clean, consistent. He's a lovely guy to be around. He is a complete and utter sportsman. He's a lovely driver. He's young too. 22 years of age at the start of the year. He's only been on sim racing for 4 years. He's an electrician by day. And I tell you what, this year he has been wired up to perfection.
And what a position he's in at the moment too. Just cruising around, knowing that, you know, what lies ahead. It's pretty exciting. It'd be hard to keep that excitement under you know, all composed in that at the moment, but he's doing a good job.
There's a place for people who can't keep themselves composed, that can't keep the excitement under wraps, and it's called a commentary box.
That's right.
But for a sim racer, a sports person, emotion is the enemy. You cannot afford to get yourself wrapped up in the big occasions. You've just got to get out there. You've got to turn clean laps. He's done everything he needs to do, and under 5 laps left to run. This time, on this lap, there'll be 15 more kilometres, and he will just be counting them all off, corner by corner. That's one more corner closer. We are getting so close to finally just being able to announce our champion, and it's not done for these guys either. Wayne Burke has found his way back on by Job Stewart. And Stewart's got some work to do, and then we cast our eyes a little bit further adrift. This is all the way back down towards the back end of the top 20. O'Shea 18th, Ford 19th, Thomas Freeman in 20th, and Freeman would love a good result to bookend his series. It's also been another year to forget for that driver as well as Ian Ford. Leaves his mark on the Ford of Dylan O'Shea.
He got real in there deep. I was like, man, is this going to turn to custard or not? But they all got away with it. Just a little bit of braille to like say, my brakes are tired, my tyres are tired. Just a little bit of nose to tail. It was gentle. How's that? Look at the rears there. Just this is where he got the pass on Job Stewart.
Job just you see him dive on the anchors and just go, all right, we'll give that one back. Let's go again.
Yeah, that's it.
And it's the joy of the fight sometimes for people, isn't it, as well? He's enjoying it. What about Rattray White? Still turning laps down in 24th as well. He sits actually just off the back of the fight between Wayne Burke and Job Stewart.
Yeah, well, he needs to bring this home and grab whatever he can because he's battling for that top 20 position. So, and that's something that'll be playing in his mind as this round goes on too. He knows that there's 2 more cars there, or 3 cars possibly, that he could get the job done on. Does he risk trying to make a move, or if that obviously turns bad for him, it could do more harm than good. So it's about weighing up those decisions. And it's like, does he think about making the move, or does he just sit and grab what points he can and then just think about Spa? Because obviously the drivers down towards the sort of middle order, they'll be thinking about that cut-off line. Everyone wants to be inside that top 20 just to take the pressure off making the series for 2025.
I was just looking at Damon Johnson, sits inside of 15. That's a strong result from him. He would be very, very happy with that. And he's got a very clean race car as well. So, another strong day at the office. We're saying about how Greek Goltz had a few errors throughout the journey. Well, Andrew Gilliam has managed to get back past him and sits back on the podium. I had a feeling Gilliam was just hanging onto his tyres just a little bit more, so has managed to get his way through. But Griffin Gardner now is trying to run down Greek Gold. See if he can have a charge late on in the race. Sits underneath a second behind him now at the moment. So, yep, another battle. Not quite done.
Griffin Gardner third in the championship. It's been a brilliant season from all the Lobs drivers, isn't it? Like they've really been a force to be reckoned with in 2024. And it's not just 1 or 2 of their cars that have been strong. It's pretty much been all of them throughout this season. There's always been a number of the Lobs cars up there taking out the top 3 and, on a number of occasions. And, yeah, they're really the team that everyone sort of needs to chase for 2025 now. And to lock out first, second, third, Dylan Rudd in first, Andrew Gilliam in second, and Griffin Gardner in third in the championship. It's a strong showing. And, it could have been a lot stronger. We touched on the downfall that Jared had at Bathurst, but it could have been swamped by the top 4 of just all Lobs cars.
And when Griffin Gardner started the championship, he only wanted to finish in the top 8. That was literally his only marker.
Yeah.
Over and above exceeds that marker, and it was for him. He achieved his racing high in 2023, becoming another major V8 Supercar Series champion, which was it's just a big thing for him with the progress and the steps forward that he made. And again, another driver midway through the series, an opportunity opened up, and he landed with the Lobs Esports outfit and immediately made huge grounds out of that effort. So. Griff is very, very happy with the way that his 2024 has gone.
Going through the motions now. It's the sun starting to set here at Belle Isle. Beau Albert still racing here with Jordan Ross. And Jordan isn't giving up, is he? He's right there. And this is where the cars are tired, the drivers are tired, and here he goes. He's thinking about a move up the inside. Hasn't quite got enough there. Oh, he's just locked a brake there, put the pressure on Beau, and now he's got the move up the inside. Good move there from Jordan Ross. Beau just had to get out of it because he knew that Jordan was enough there alongside of him. Just locked that little brake, and that was enough for him to get the job done. So nice pressure move there from Jordan Ross.
And again, another round that Beau Albert's going to finish with a wounded race car. Again, not his fault.
There's a lot of them. There's a lot of wounded race cars on this track. Belle Isle has bitten a few and spat them out. So, there's not too many cars that are pristine around here. As we see the white flag, Jared Filsell, look at that margin, 5.5 seconds over teammate James Scott. And I kind of called it too. I said once that Jared had that little bit of clear air, I don't know that anyone had much for him, and that's exactly the way it's played out. Jared Filsell has been very strong here at Belle Isle. And he's 3/4 of a lap away of taking the victory here for the penultimate round the Logitech G Pro Invitational for 2024.
For Jared Filsell, it's going to be a bittersweet final lap around this racetrack. This place was where he crowned himself champion in 2022. In 2023 is where everything started to come unstuck for his year. He was trying to help a teammate. There was chaos and carnage, and he was at the core of it last year. And for 2024, he returns to the top step from the streets of Detroit Belle Isle. He has been a man on a mission this year, a mission to win as many races as he physically can, as many pole positions as he can. It won't be good enough for a championship shout, but there is none that can sit along, watch along, ride along, and disagree that this man has utter talent. He exudes it. It bleeds from his pores. He is quick in a V8 supercar. And yet again, from the streets of Detroit Belle Isle, he'll light up the rear tires. He'll celebrate it in style because he is going to take another race win for 2024, and he'll leave one more mountain left to tame in terms of race wins. And now we watch, we wait, and we get ready to celebrate. He is going to be the youngest champion in the history of the Logitech Pro Invitational. Dylan Rudd wins your 2024 Drivers' Championship.
Cool moment. He'll be just savouring that right now. Crowned as the Logitech G Supercars Pro Invitational Champion for 2024. He'd be absolutely stoked. Takes the pressure off him now, and he gets to go to the final round and just soak it all up. How cool is that?
He's won 2 state karting championships, but I get the feeling this is going to become the one that he writes on his resume, right at the top of the resume. 22-year-old. He's young. He's only been in the sim racing space from Brisbane for such a short period of time. When you look at the drivers that he's around, he has taken to it like a duck to water. I tell you what, he's taken to the burnouts like a duck to water as well. Those are some rear tyres that he no longer needs to care about because he is celebrating everything this year has meant. When you get the call up to drive alongside of a team that contains the names of Shane Van Gisbergen, Brody Kostecki, Richie Stanaway, James Scott, Jared Vilsell, you say, yes, I will be there, and I will be there with bells on. He's made the most of the opportunity. What a moment. What a moment.
Oh, I'm stoked for him. He'd be thrilled. He's just sitting there just absolutely enjoying every moment of this and soaking it all in. And the fun is now, like he gets to celebrate and light up the tyres, but now it's getting back to the team and talking about the year and just enjoying it now. It's pretty cool. And nice to see a new champion crowned as well. That's really good.
Just such a moment, you know. It's 3 years, 3 different champions. A couple of rounds ago, we were looking at it and going, oh, well, it's Jared Filsells, isn't it? He's going to make himself the first back 2-time champion. And that story changed. Just what a year. We're not done yet. We're not done yet.
Still got another round. Still another round to go.
Let alone, do I need to remind you the drama that happened at Spa 2023? So,
mate, this, but the beauty is now that everyone gets to go there and pretty much battle hell for leather. It's going to be the teams on the bubble. They're the ones that are going to be, really stressing.
And for Jared Filsell, 6 seconds was the final margin. It was all about getting track position, and he got it at the first pit stop. Then he had to make some critically timed overtakes. The pressure was on to pull those triggers and get the job done. He did that. Doing okay yet again. Round out the podium. 1, 2, and 3. James Scott will be second fiddle, which he will be disappointed. I get the feeling he's had to play second fiddle a lot this year, and that wouldn't have been the goal, but it's how it goes. He did advance his way forward past teammate Andrew Gilliam, who's set pole, has run strong here in the last couple of years. We'll round out our podium. Greek Gold said he needed a strong result to finish the year off. He's going to finally get one and put it all together. 4th place home nice and comfortably. Griffin Gardner in 5th. Championship 1 from 6th spot inside the top 10. 20 seconds off the race lead. No one will ever look at that stat. They'll only look at when he won the championship. Wayne Burke gets home in front of Job Stewart, so that battle went deep on into the race. It was good to see. Blake Warboys home inside the 10. Could have gone anywhere for Blake Warboys, but again, he manages to pull out a solid finish. And Adam Briggs cracks himself a nice top 10 to head home late in the season. Jordan Ross is going to sit just outside the top 10 in 11th spot, gets ahead of Bo Albert from Sean McNamara. McNamara needed a strong finish. Well, he found one here tonight. Robbie Gibbs, Damian Johnson. Brady Myers only good enough to get back to 16th from the rear end of the field. Still a reasonable night at the office. A lot of damage on that race car before the end. Jake Maloney, Dylan O'Shea home in 18th. Ian Ford. Thomas Freeman, I believe, cracks the top 20 for the first time this season as well. Outside the 20, though, that's a big story, isn't it?
Wow. Yeah.
Number 1 defending champion Madison Down will not be having the number 1 on his car for next year. Brady Baldwin, last car home on the lead lap. And then, my word, take a look at the walking wounded. Luke Rosello, we saw that spin for him late on and that we all thought might have been Dylan Rudd. Zach Rattray White was chasing him down, wasn't able to get the job done. We'll get home ahead of Jacob O'Reilly. Brenton Hobson, he led laps in this race. He was right up at the pointy end for a very, very long time. And, yeah, let's the less said about that, the better. Tyson Broadhome, 3 laps down. Also on that lap, Josh Anderson. Rick Kuznetsov, we also thought at one point he might have a shot at winning the championship. All the way back at the start of the season. Kurt Stenberg will finish 16 laps down, which I believe is going to qualify him for points just. And from here, these are all the drivers who will get a big old 0 next to their name. DNFs for Hayden Veld, Richard Hampstead, Scott Gamble, Matt Bowler, and Andre Youssef with one of the most bizarre incidents in sim racing you've ever seen. Pedal failure of the highest order.
Unreal. It had a little bit of everything, didn't it? It didn't disappoint. Belle really turned it on. And we saw some great racing, some big incidents, and a series champion crowned. It's really been brilliant.
Certainly has. Oh, boy. Well, we are ready to chat to everyone post-race, and we're going to start off with, I believe, for some reason we managed to grab our second place finisher. Either way, James Scott is going to walk on into the commentary box and have a chat to us, mate. Tonight, I mean, realistically, you sort of sat there and when you maybe watch the broadcast back, you go, they didn't really talk about me all that much, but it was sort of that kind of night, wasn't it? It's about celebrating the guys in and around you and around the team.
Yeah, I had limited practice going into tonight, so yeah, didn't really have the speed. Made some setup adjustments before the race that turned out, I don't know, they felt alright in the first stint, but then after that maybe they weren't so great. But yeah, no, overall, can't complain.
Mate, the teamwork, we did question things at one point there because all 3 of you guys up front went, a little bit different strategy. You put less fuel in the car than Andy did. Phil Sell went on the massive, I just want track position strategy. It was really, really interesting to sort of see the gloves come off and you guys all sort of, okay, we're just going to go every which way and whoever comes out on top comes out on top.
Yeah, no, there's going to be a few different strategies play out, but that safety car, I don't know, sort of in the middle of the race there or whatever it was, just sort of put everyone on the same strategy, and yeah, from there it was pretty straightforward.
Well, mate, she's a tough old track to tame. Are you at least glad that one's over? That feels like that would have been a sweaty old hour and 3/4 from the cockpit.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a long old race, so yeah, keen to go to bed.
Mate, finally, congratulations going your way. Who would you like to give a thank you to?
Yeah, obviously, shout out to all the guys at Lobs, Shane, and everyone else for jumping on and spotting tonight. Always really appreciated. Sponsors doing okay, Rycar Performance, Hybrid Racing Simulations, you guys for the broadcast, and all the series race control and admin people.
Mate, much appreciated. Thank you very much for your time. Always a pleasure to chat as usual.
Thanks, mate.
All right, we'll take one step further forward, and Sandman's going to be chatting to tonight's winner.
Yeah, congratulations, Jared Philsell, winner for round 11 here at Belle Isle, mate. A brilliant race. Tell us a bit about it from your standpoint. It was a tough old race round here, 73 laps.
Oh, yeah, I'm buggered. I didn't turn a lap until 4 o'clock the Savo, so I've been limited prep, so I've been driving since I got home from work, so I'm knackered.
How did you feel? You said limited practice. Was the confidence there, though? It looks like the team was on top of it, though. It looks like all the cars did pretty well around this racetrack.
Yeah, I just made sure I make sure there was a setup in the folder for when I get on from work and I'll start doing laps. Yeah, I tried last year's setup. That was okay, but what the guys supplied tonight was fantastic. It was a lot better. We all went in a little subtle direction. I didn't make a single adjustment to it. I just drove it, and yeah, it seemed to be quite nice. So thanks Ruddy for the setup. So yeah, it was really good.
And a little bit of strategy for you too, mate. With that first pit stop, it was a little bit shorter, and you sort of rolled the dice a little bit, and then some safety cars went in there and mixed things up. Did it all go to plan? Obviously, you got the checkered flag at the end, which is obviously the main goal. But how were your thoughts sort of halfway through the race?
Yeah, that safety car's a bit of a shame. I was going to do a 3-stopper just to see what was going to happen.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, really threw a spanner in the works for the strategy. Yeah, I was really looking forward to trying something different. It's kind of a nothing race in terms of championship for myself. So it was just going to try something different. But it's unfortunate that we had a safety car in it. Just put everyone on the same strategy, unfortunately.
And nice bounce back after the disappointment of Bathurst too. That was obviously the heartbreaker.
Yeah, I haven't driven the car for 5 weeks since lap 16 or whatever it was when I got out of the car and then the thing terminated. So yeah, that was unfortunate. It is what it is. That's racing, unfortunately. So yeah, there's nothing, not upset or anything. It's it just is what it is.
Well, before we let you go, mate, it's been a big effort from the Lobs team all year. Cracking race tonight. No doubt you want to thank a few people.
Yeah, awesome job by the boys tonight, and lucky for Luke. I'm not sure what happened to him. I'm sure he got caught up in a car park somewhere. Yeah, just thanks to the boys for putting all the effort in all year. We were all limited prep for this round, so to churn out something that was race winnable and to have majority in the top half of the field was awesome. Just say thanks to Shane for getting up every single round at I don't know what time. It's super committed by him, and yeah, we really enjoy that he gets on and puts all the effort in and gives us a race-winning strategy in the end. Also, Brad Newman as well for jumping on and taking some weight off the guys, or off Shane especially. And we've also got Gianni and Thomas spotting and helping all the other guys just out in the background there. So yeah, awesome effort from the guys all year round. It's been fantastic. I honestly, yeah, I'm stunned, to be honest. It's I've never been in a team where we've had so much success all year consistently. It's awesome. Also for Ruddy to clinch the championship round early is also really cool. I've been there, done that, so Ruddy can join that club. But he just needs to win a race, though. He hasn't won a race all year, so.
It's not bad winning the championship without a race, eh?
Yeah, well, he puts in the most effort of anyone in the team, and it shows. He's done so much work in the background, helping us out, helping himself out, and he's paid dividends in the end, really. So, yeah, it's awesome. Stoked for him.
Well, congratulations, mate. Great race tonight, and we'll see you for the next round as we wrap up our 2024 series. But until then, thanks, Jared.
Yeah, cheers.
And hand over to you, Scott, now, as Jared was talking to his teammate up and Dylan Rudd. You will be talking with our champion-elect.
Yeah, and, well, it's been a wild run through 2024. It started all the way back at Sebring when we saw most of the field go up in smoke, a moment that will live on in sim racing legacy for many years to come. And that is where the mountains started to be climbed. Dylan Rudd had to fight his way back through the field. He had to score points at every opportunity, still yet to win a race for 2024. There's only one more chance for that yet to happen, but that doesn't matter, because who cares about race winning when you are tasting the sweetest champagne of them all? Ladies and gentlemen, your 2024 Logitech Pro Invitational Champion, Dylan Rudd. Mate, we spoke to you before the top of the show, and you said, hey, yeah, there's no real nerves. We're just trying to get through this, drive it exactly the same as it has been all season long. but I get the feeling as the journey went on tonight, there was so many heart and mouth moments for you.
Yeah, definitely. There were definitely a few close calls with other cars shunting. So yeah, just happy to make it through to the end of the race.
Well, you only had to finish inside the top 10, mate. Got home in six, but talk to me about your 2024. I was actually just digging through the driver profile information. The goal for the year was to win a couple of races. You haven't done that. You won a championship instead, so I'd say goal achieved.
Yeah, I'd definitely say winning championships obviously a bit better than race wins, but yeah, still would like to get a race win. We've come close a couple times this year, but yeah, just keep putting in the work and hopefully do a little bit better next year.
Mate, you've had the opportunity to work alongside so many talented individuals in the sport, and I was talking to Sean at different points, you know, your old team boss, and he said, man, I'm just so keen to watch this kid go and watch him do what he's capable of doing. There's so many personalities that come on board, and there is not a person that I interact with and I ask, okay, Dylan Rudd, what do you think of him? No one has a bad word to say about you. You just go about your business quietly, be quick. And that's just Dylan Rudd in a nutshell?
Yeah, I don't generally talk to too many people, so yeah, just keep to myself, do my own thing. Yeah, try not to really get in anyone else's business, just keep to myself.
Well, finally, I mean, you've won that championship now. 2025, what does it look like for you? Are you defending this? I think probably even the bigger question is, well, when you roll out next year, do you have a number one on your car?
Definitely. I think you got to.
And for 2025, do you think that you can defend that title? It's going to be a big old change if everything that we think might happen does happen, but it's going to be a new machinery. Everyone's going to be starting from square one yet again.
Yeah, it's going to be different. We have the new car, but I think you're still going to see the same usual suspects at the top of the field winning races. So yeah, I think luckily to have the best drivers in the Lobs team. So just continue to learn off them, and their experience has been really good this year. So keep doing that into the next year.
Mate, congratulations. I'll leave the floor all to you because I get the feeling there's quite a lot of thank yous that are going to come out, and yeah, mate, just revel in the emotions. You know, walk us through it, and yeah, let us know who you'd like to thank.
Obviously the Lobs esports team for bringing me on this year. It's been a super cool opportunity to have. Obviously everyone in the team been great to work with. Shane, Brad, Thomas and Gianni for spotting tonight. It's been great, and yeah, for everyone that's Shane, Brad have spotted for most of the year, it's been really good. And yeah, our sponsors doing okay. Ryko, HRS. And
finally, mate, yeah, you know, mum, dad, is there anyone out of your personal life that you just sit there and you go, you know, thanks for the opportunity, thanks for getting me into racing. I never knew it'd go this far, and look at what we've done.
No, not really.
Mate, congratulations. Ladies and gentlemen, your 2024 Logitech Pro Invitational Championship, Roddy. Congratulations, dude. Yeah, everyone, like I said, everyone says just great things about you, man. I've had an opportunity to talk to you on a couple of occasions this year. Mate, big props. Congratulations. I can't think of anyone nicer it can go to.
Thanks, Scotty. Appreciate it.
Well, that is going to wrap things up here from the streets of Detroit, Belle Isle. It's named Motor City. It's named Motor City for a reason, because we just decided our 2024 championship. That means that the gloves are off. There is, for a number of drivers up and down the field, yeah, they're locked in for 2024, but there are a number of drivers who have still got big old question marks and questions that have got to be answered. Wednesday the 13th of November, 7:45 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time, 6:45 p.m. if you live in Queensland, like Sandman does. But mate, it's not done. There is, I think, the battle for the bubble and who's in for 20 just got more complicated, not less.
Absolutely. You can see it on screen too in the top right-hand corner. Ian Ford in 17th, Bo Albert 18th, Jake Maloney 19th, Zach Rattray-White in 20th, Sean McNamara in 21st, and that's what they're all racing for at Spa. So Yes, we may have decided our championship winner, but at the end of the day, it's a battle for the bubble, and really looking forward to seeing how this plays out.
Yeah, it got closer. It got a lot closer, and there'll be more drivers off that list that we just don't have the data for at the moment. There's going to be some digging, there's going to be some scratching of hands, and who can come out on top? Will it be the final time we race the Gen 2 chassis? Will it be adieu that we bid to the Holden Commodore? Will it be adieu that we bid to the older generation of the Ford Mustang? And will it be hello and welcome to the new generations of V8 supercars chassis? Like we said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us. It will be November the 13th that we join you to go racing for the final time for 2024. On behalf of myself, on behalf of Sandman, on behalf of Logitech, on behalf of OG Gear, Playtech, and the Playseat and the Gamesmen. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure to bring you another race from the Logitech Pro Invitational. We'll see you in a few weeks' time to finalise the championship for 2024.
Weekend in, weekend out, Motorsport Australia officials are making waves. From waving flags, waving cars through pit lane, or responding to a wave for help. Wave hello to new lifelong friends. Who knows, you might just make waves around the world. Ride the first wave. Search Motorsport Australia officials today.
Hi, I'm Brendan Leach, driver of the number 7 Audi R8 or MPC Audi Custom Racing. First impressions of OG Gear on the sim, fantastic. It feels really nice in your hands and doesn't gather up under your fingers. The sock, very breathable for me. I get sweaty feet when I'm on simulator. I know that's not the nicest thing to say. It has just the right amount of grip because your feet do just naturally move around on the pedals a little bit, and I like the way that they give you that freedom but also give you that stability that you need.
We are gaming fanatics. Our goal has never been to just play games. We think it's much better to feel like you're actually in the game. This feeling is what drives us as we create world-class gaming chairs. Our one aim, give you a brand new gaming experience. Help you move in perfect sync with everything on screen. Make sure you're having a ton of fun. It took us decades to achieve this, and we're still not satisfied. Every day, we wake up to get better. We'll never stop designing the very best to help you be your best. When it's all said and done, our job's only done if you're in full flow and focused on your victory. May you win, and win big.